popular religion of Mormonism. So like
Mormonism,
Mormonism explained. We'll start with the Mormon video. Fuck it.
the Church of Latter-day Saints is one of America's first homegrown religions, and there is a lot of discourse in regard to Mormonism online. And there's very public hatred and accusations of cult.
Chat, here's the big thing. What's the best way a chip is cooked? Baked, kettle cooked, regular? So many different types. I've been rocking with kettle cooked lately, bro. I don't know why. I've just been fucking with the kettle cooked taste.
Like behavior. I'm not talking about these things or bringing up negative things to incite any sort of hatred or whatever. I believe that people should be able to pragmatically include religions or religiosity or philosophy or whatever they believe into their lives to make their lives better.
What do you mean by that?
To decide what their reality is and how they will live their life, regardless of what you believe. And I do not want to contribute to anything objectively negative. That being said, this is a religion, and religions have long histories of absolute insanity, all of them, every single one of them, and they're all worth learning about, in my opinion, and talking about. And some are a little more insane and off the wall and
I'm kind of scared of Mormons, but I respect them.
Entertaining than others. For example, Scientology is batshit. So believe whatever you want. I have friends that are ex-Mormons and I have friends that are Mormons, and they're all good people. But for today's video, we're going down the Mormon rabbit hole, and it is absolutely mind-boggling. Most of you are familiar with rabbit holes, conspiracy rabbit holes, icebergs, things like that. We've talked about Scientology before in the past, and I plan on doing all the Abrahamic religions. Just kidding. I'll get killed. But like, some of them, I want to talk about everything, but also I'm a dumbass. A lot of Mormons don't even know that what we're about to talk about even.
Yeah, if you made this video about Islam, somebody would kill you.
It exists. This 100%. Isn't about individuals. It is about the institutional history of Mormonism. And it is very interesting and crazy. Every major religion has dark chapters. The Catholic Church has the Vatican archives, which we've covered before in a previous video, the Crusades, centuries of cover-ups. Islam has schisms and violent extremist offshoots. Buddhism even has...
Oh yeah, every religion's wild out a little bit at some point.
Militant nationalists in Myanmar, and Christianity broadly has the Inquisition, the Salem witch trials, and the prosperity gospel grifters of the modern day. Just to be clear, I am a Christian. I did not grow up in a religious household whatsoever. So I don't really have the classical Christian worldview. I am very enthusiastic about learning about religions and talking to people of other faiths and traditions and seeing what makes them tick and so on and so forth. So, you know, you might automatically hate me, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't believe that that's a... Well, I shouldn't say I don't believe that's a real thing, because people definitely do that. But I think that this stuff is very fun to talk about.
Like, I think religion's very interesting, regardless if I believe it or not. I like learning about Mormonism, Catholicism, Buddhism, Islam. Like, it's all interesting to learn about because, I mean, it's obviously tied into society, human nature, and blah, blah, blah.
Extremely applicable to your real life in a pragmatic way. That is believing in something far larger than yourself. And what makes Mormonism so interesting is that it is very helpful objectively to a lot of people, but it's also unique because it's young enough that we have documentation. All religions have a lot of wild, insane, wacky shit, but Mormonism, it's like pretty new.
Yeah, for religions.
We get newspaper articles, audio recordings, SEC filings. Most religions' sketchy origin stories happened thousands of years ago through oral traditions. Mormonism's happened in 19th century America with printing presses and literacy. And that is what makes the rabbit hole so deep. We're not relying on ancient texts that were translated dozens of times. We have Joseph Smith's criminal record. We have Mark
the fucking Mormons are crazy, bro.
Back in the day, especially. On tape. We have the Council of 50 Minutes that were sealed for 172 years and released in 2016. I'm going to be approaching this without an anti-Mormon bias and rather sticking to documented history and how crazy that is. A lot of people believe that Mormonism is just another Christian denomination, but it isn't.
I just realized when I woke up the first time at 7 a.m.
It is a 200-year-old American-made religion with golden plates, seer stones, secret temple rituals.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of different like offshoot stories and side quests the Mormons apparently went on, and duties they're responsible for in the spiritual physical world.
Polygamous prophets, vigilante enforcers, mass murderers, and genuine conspiracies out of a crime crime novel. The rabbit hole goes from stuff that you've definitely heard of to things that I guarantee you probably have. By the very bottom, we're going to be talking about blood atonement murders, shadow governments, and forgers who killed people with bombs. For the most surface level thing, let's talk about Joseph Smith and the Golden Plates. A 14-year-old
we had an entire week just for Mormons, learned a lot.
farm boy named Joseph Smith claimed the angel Moroni appeared to him in 1823 telling him about golden plates. And these golden plates were buried up on a hill near his home in upstate New York. And 4 years later, on his 4th annual attempt, Smith retrieved the plates on the 22nd of September, 1827. Now, old boy Smith translated these stones, and his translation method was stranger than you might think. Smith placed a chocolate-covered seer stone,
chocolate-covered seer stone,
the same one he'd used for treasure hunting previously, into a hat, put his face into the hat to block out light, and dictated the Book of Mormon while the plate sat covered or in another room. Witnesses testified he often didn't use the plates at all during translation. They just sat nearby or were removed entirely from the formula. David
what the fuck?
Whitmer, one of the 3 witnesses, stated,
"The plates were not before Joseph while he translated, but seem to have been removed by the custodian angel."
The church has very famous artwork showing Joseph Smith studying
I feel refreshed. Welcome back.
the plates while translating. But there's conflicting reports as to whether or not the man was reading that thing. One of my favorite jokes that I've used for a long time is that Joseph
Sit
Smith
back and try to see where Christianity comes into it. Well, obviously with the, so Christianity, like a lot of religions believe in Jesus, whether they call them Jesus or not, and it's kind of similar to that. Like, they just kind of use the story of Christ and add all their stuff in around it.
was the first iPad baby. And ex-Mormons love that. Joseph found
There's one thing, yeah, that's it. It's like, oh yeah, Jesus? Yeah, he set all this in motion for Joseph Smith to figure out and tell everybody.
the Latter-day Saints Church on April 6, 1830, and by 1844, he'd accumulated 30 to 46 polygamous wives, some as young
46 polygamous wives?
as the age of 14, several already married to other men. And on June 27, 1844, a mob stormed Carthage jail and killed him. He fired back with a smuggled pistol and wounded 3 attackers before dying. The church portrays Joseph Smith as a martyred lamb, but in reality, he was armed and fighting back. So that's a tidbit of information. We're going to be
I want to say that they believe in Jesus came to America after he died.
focusing
Faith
on
in
more and
him.
more progressively insane stuff. And if you want a full history of Mormonism, you're going to have to find that somewhere else. Now on to the Book of Mormon, which claims to be a history of ancient peoples in the Americas from roughly 2200 BC to 421 AD, written on golden plates in
Well, they obviously don't have much faith in Jesus or God or the disciples, at least, seeing they have created so much text and scripture of their own to skirt and get away and push forth the message and the way they think it should be.
Reformed Egyptian, which is a language that does not exist outside the claims of Mormons. These plates describe 2 main groups: Nephites, which were righteous
Christian all
and
the time.
white-skinned, then the Lamanites, which were wicked and cursed with dark skin.
I think when they say like obviously like a Christian religion is the idea that Christ came and died on the cross for us. So Christian religions are normally assumed when they adopt that part of the story. You know what I mean? Because like, for example, like Jewish people aren't considered Christians because they don't believe Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and same thing with Islamic people. So as far as like in a categorical sense, not in a spiritual sense, I think they categorize religions based off where they originate from. With like, because there's like 3 or 4 major religions where a lot of them, all these other small religions originate from. So it's like, I think it's like that as far as like categorizing it.
Actually became Native Americans. So you can see some of this is fairly problematic off the bat. So the claim is that there are Hebrew markers in Native American populations, but there is
That would be a secular error.
absolutely
mean?
zero science to back that
I can
up.
look it
And the
up.
church changed the Book of Mormon introduction in 2006 from principal ancestors of Native Americans to among the ancestors, which some have interpreted as admitting the core
Kind of document or college or something, so it's not biased. Mormonism was founded by Christianity. That sounds weird. It's founded from Christianity. That's right. These are all Mormon websites. I haven't seen a single like Mormon non-biased website. Here's Reddit, but Reddit says the same thing. Is there no like colleges that talk about this? Why is all these weird websites? Mormon.com. Mormon.com. Bro, that's so funny to me. I don't know why. Who the fuck gets online, types in the Mormon.com?
Claim was wrong without actually saying the core claim was wrong. Another fact that we know through anthropology is the fun fact that there were no...
That was kind of sketchy because like in the past I've looked up stuff like that, and when I try to do that, I try to go to like research articles or like stuff college professors have said, rather than like, you know, like scholars and historians and people like that, rather than like news articles and stuff, because you never know if those are gonna be biased or not. But I didn't see anything. It was all just a bunch of sketchy like propaganda looking websites when I looked it up. And they were all saying yes, basically.
Horses in the Americas while humans lived.
They're always
until
biased.
The Spanish brought them. But the Book of Mormon
Websites?
mentions horses.
I think websites are always biased, but I think some websites can report an incident. Like, for example, if like at 6 a.m. this morning, some girl was crossing the street and was hit by X car. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to like religion and politics, you gotta kind of
repeatedly. No steel, no wheeled vehicles, no wheat, barley, or silk. None of the
Find some
cities have been
pure
found from the Book of Mormon, and
research.
archaeologists have spent 200 years looking, only to find nothing. There were horses here, by the way, a long time ago, and then they left, and then they came back. Okay, guys? Okay, I love horses. They're beautiful. I had a horse named Tank once. Killed a goat with its bare mouth, teeth, ripped him up, ripped the damn goat up.
I own a lot of firearms.
Professors did as follows. Gibberish. Document that it doesn't exist. Now, what about the reformed Egyptian? It doesn't exist. Egyptologists examined the characters document that Smith showed scholars, and their assessment is as follows. Gibberish. Possibly a crude imitation of various ancient scripts massed together. Smith could not get these documents authenticated.
Damn. So I wonder if, so like with religions like this, and I'm not gonna call out Mormons because obviously from this one YouTube video I can't even know for sure, you know, all the details and information. But like when you hear details like that, like your whole religion's based off of this one thing, and then you start to see flaws and lies. Is it like a secret organization in these churches or organizations or whatever you want to call them, cults, that is like continuing to portray the message and brainwash and trick people? Or are there like genuinely like I guess like bishops or chaplains or whatever the fuck you want to call them that are like still holding on to hope and convincing people that like, oh, it's just something we can't explain. Like
professors did not accept it. Now, you're probably noticing a bit of a trend here, and the fact is that Mormonism is still very popular, and the church has to contend with people saying this is all fake and not real. And since the church actually genuinely exists and it's its own sole entity, and there isn't a billion denominations like Christianity or Catholicism, we can see their retort and their stances change over time. And the church's official response,
like recently, not recently, but within the past like 10 or 20 years, they just accepted gay people as people. You can come to Mormon church and you can associate with Mormons. You can't be a Mormon member. You can't be considered an actual Mormon if you're gay still. But you can, they're letting you guys associate with them. What up, DC? What up, girl? Which is very nice of them. And they recently just accepted people with tattoos, and you can now be a Mormon if you have tattoos. I don't know if there's like a code, like they can't go past your sleeve, or they can't be a tattoo of this. I don't know, because like for example, they're not allowed to drink more than 64 ounces of soda a day. They're not allowed to drink a cup of coffee after a certain time. So like they have so many weird off the wall rules that make no sense.
To all of this is that
I can see like you can have a tattoo but nothing portraying a woman or like it's on your neck or your hands. I can see something like that.
Spiritual witness trumps physical evidence.
Chances change.
You're
Oh
supposed
yeah.
to pray about it and rely on your feelings, your spiritual feelings, not facts. And when science contradicts your max, science doesn't exactly matter. What about polygamy? Polygamy always sounds like fun, but then you really start to think about it. And anybody who's spent a long time with a person of the other sex in a small house.
I'm gonna say this. The Mormon Church outright says polygamy is evil. They don't support it, blah blah blah. But I'd see some pretty sus couples and sus things out here in Utah every now and then. I'm just gonna say that. So like, obviously, people who came to Utah, they saw like you'll see the Mormons, and they dress kind of like uppity, kind of like fratty, but like they dress like normal people. But then there's Latter-day Saints, and they dress like Amish people. You know what I mean? Like the men are all wearing like dress pants, dress shirts, hats, overalls, jackets. The women are all wearing like on the prairie dresses, and there's like an old man, and he always has like I'll see him out, and he'll have like 4 or 5 like grown ladies with him, like just following him. And I guess they could be his daughters, but it's just sometimes it's sus. Like he has a bunch of wives. Be having key parties.
Probably
Me back in my parents' town.
It seems worse. The television shows, make it seem
They
like
legit
a
look
really
Amish.
entertaining.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would say like appearance wise, they look Amish, but they still use electricity. They don't believe in secular stuff, so like I'm pretty sure a lot of them don't have social media, or they don't watch like secular shows. They don't listen to secular music.
Sort of thing, but it seems like a absolute nightmare.
Husband Brady gives his
They're
wife
like
Holly
Mormon
a kiss on
premium.
the cheek. A few rooms over, a quick cuddle with wife Rhonda. Then a smooch for Robin, another for Rosemary, and finally, wife number 5, Nani.
Hey, everybody!
Welcome inside the world of Brady Williams, a polygamist unlike any you have ever met.
I really consider myself a feminist.
Mainstream offshoots
Oh,
of
yeah.
the Church of Latter-day Saints banned polygamy in 1890 to achieve Utah statehood. They had to. But fundamentalist
That's crazy.
groups like the FLDS still practice it to this day.
Allegedly. Dude married a village. Chad, can I do this? All the ladies in the cult, can I start dating you all at once?
Warren Jeffs,
Could you guys
convicted
be chill
child
with that?
rapist and FLDS prophet, married 70-plus wives, some as young as 12 years old. And in 2011, he was
Yeah, see, that's how the LDS dress and look. Latter-day Saints. They're still Mormons, but they're like crazy Mormons. Is the main one. I would be equal. I'm down. Like, I really would. I would treat you guys all equally,
some as young as 12 years old. And in 2011, he was convicted of aggravated
That's just in the
sexual assault of a child
1960s.
and sentenced to life plus 20 years. And during the 2008 Texas raid on his YFZ ranch compound, authorities found audio recordings of Jeffs sexually assaulting a 12-year-old and discovered a pregnant 15-year-old carrying his child. And this freak still continues leading the FLDS from prison through letters and phone calls, which is crazy too. The FLDS is genuinely insane, and Warren Jeffs is a massive piece of shit, which you don't need me to tell you that.
So Warren Jeffs was actually supported by the Mormon Church, and he's a sore subject around Utah. Like, I literally had brought him up once, and people were like, don't talk about it. Like, it's really weird because, and then I found out the church backed him up and were supporting him with like money for legal teams and all this stuff, all the way up until they found evidence and raided his compound, and then after that they completely disavowed and disowned him. So up until the day he got his place raided, and they found that girl in the clip where he was doing that to a 12-year-old and impregnated a 15-year-old, the Mormon Church was like, yeah, we love Warren, he's one of our best guys.
Obviously. The 1953 Short Creek raid saw the largest mass arrest of polygamists in American history. Hundreds of children were removed from families in a media spectacle that backfired politically. It's estimated that 30 to 50,000 practicing polygamists remain in Utah and Arizona today. And the mainstream LDS Church officially disavows them, but shares the same.
As a Christian, I cannot be worried about anyone being deceived while also being loved. Wait, what? I can be worried about anyone being deceived while also being loved.
Theological roots in
I'm
scriptures
not sure I
that
understand.
justified the polygamy, because obviously
It's so messed
my boy
up.
Smith was all about that shit. Through researching this, I've learned that most Mormons are social Mormons, and they don't actually follow any of the teachings. It's just,
Yeah, real.
you know, kind of a social structure that makes them feel like they belong. For example, I believe Dan McClellan is he's a scholar of the Bible. And
I didn't
he's
get
very
any of those. Not the individuals. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Like targeting the group as a whole, not like singling one out. With like 15 girls in the back of a U-Haul. Jesus, it sounds like me at a cult meetup.
intelligent, talks on TikTok, and you've probably seen his videos. I found out that he was a Mormon recently, and I was like, how the f is that possible? But it turns out social Mormons are a very real thing. And
Yeah, like that's why I told people here, like social Mormonism is a real thing. They go to church together, they're all friends, they all hang out. But it really is just like a bougie white person clique. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
you know,
Isn't it hate?
I don't know, dude. I'm a social gamer. All right, I like playing video games, but Mormonism's a little out there for me. Just a little bit. Just a little small amount. Take, for example, magic undies, aka sacred underclothing worn 24/7 by endowed members. These
The magic undies, chat.
amazing garments are white. They cover the torso, the upper legs, all from temple ceremony. They are supposed to provide spiritual and physical protection. They look like bullshit. They look
It's
whack
Christianity.
as... They look straight out of the 1900s. I mean, 1800s. They really do. It looks amazing. They look very funny. Wow. I'm looking at them right now. Very important. Members of the Church of Latter-day Saints
What up,
do
Mac?
not call these things magic. Obviously, because they even find that offensive, I believe. That's what Google says. They get very offended when you say that the temple garments are magic, but they have a level of spiritual protection. And if we're thinking about this from a game design perspective, +10 spiritual protection, I would say that's a little bit of magic. All right, guys, and you can make anything can be magic if it makes you feel better. Just a little bit of magic in it. It's not bad. How about baptisms for the dead? Mormons perform proxy baptisms.
So I learned this. So, basically they'll go to retirement homes, and after people pass away, they'll contact their families and they will baptize them and sign them in as a Mormon member even after their death. And so they put them down as, oh, this person was a Mormon member. They did this, and they contributed this to the church. And then the Mormons promise you basically they'll get a spot in heaven.
For deceased people who never joined the church, effectively telekinetically granting you membership to a religion that you never partook in after you've died. You can just add people to the list of souls. That's amazing. I can't think of anything more fun than
cost money.
Becoming a Mormon familiar. A living Mormon member stands in for the dead person in a baptism ceremony, and the deceased can then accept or reject the baptism in the afterlife. So it sounds optional because they can accept or reject, but the church's theological stance is that the temple ordinances are required for exaltation, creating pressure for the dead to.
So I'm not 100% sure, but on how the exact format works, but so you can go to Mormon church. Like I could show up on a Sunday and just go and sit in there every Sunday if I wanted, and they might kick me out because the way I look. But for the most part, if you're a normal person, they're not gonna kick you out. You can sit in there and listen and do whatever. But to be a Mormon member, to consider it a member and get all the little Mormon perks and stuff, and for the fit in their friend circle, and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, like, if you're the dad and you have a wife and like 3 kids, you have to pay 10% of your income and like an extra 1% of your income for like each person in your family or something, bro. So when they baptize the dead people, the people who are stepping in for them, I think they pay like a percentage of their monthly income towards the church. Wow. Yeah, that's how they stay members. And when if they don't pay their monthly tithes to the church, then like they come out and talk to you like, hey, what's going on? And la la la. And I guess eventually they kick you out as a member.
Except during the 90s and 2000s, Holocaust victims were posthumously baptized by Mormons, causing massive controversy with Jewish organizations. The church promised to stop in 1995, then again in 2008, but members kept on doing it anyway. Now, why would they do this? Mormons believe that they're genuinely helping. Now, I can definitely see how it would be offensive to be the offspring of, potentially someone who was genocided in the Holocaust. And then you're baptized.
The Mormon church just rich at this point. The Mormon church is so rich. There is so much money in the Mormon church. Like, if you think these Southern Baptist churches are big, these Mormons are like these Mormons are blowing them out of the water, but the Mormons are a lot more secretive and stuff like and I think a lot of the Southern Baptists are, but and I think the only reason Southern Baptists have got like this bad rap for like being like bougie is there's like a couple like big pastors at mega churches who like let the clout and money they were making and everything go to their head because I don't think that's the majority of them on a religious membership. How are you looking into it? Yeah, just like I said, it's just something to learn about and
by a religion that
are
banned
insane.
black people from full participation in 1978 and also taught
What
that
up, Liv?
Jews were cursed, which were people
That's me.
who they're baptizing. I can see how it's offensive from both sides, but I definitely think it's a good, you know, they're like, let's help. Another interesting fact is that the church maintains one of the world's largest genealogical databases, available at familysearch.org, ostensibly for helping people discover their ancestry, but the primary purpose is for finding dead people to baptize. Members of the Church of Latter-day Saints are apparently encouraged to find ancestors and do their temple work. Now, by the way, just so you know, in the very beginning, I said that the Mormons are there. A lot of them don't know any of this stuff. There will be a lot of comments, I'm sure, on this video of Mormons just being like, I don't do that shit, dude. This guy's so full of shit, man. Yeah, it's like a very common thing in Mormonism. It's just like, we don't do that.
Bro, low-key, most people are anti-Jew. Like, Islamic people are pretty anti-Jew. I know Mormons are anti-Jew. Yeah, there's a lot of anti-Semitism, to be honest.
Like, of course, I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you don't. But it's a thing, and your church has been doing it for a long time, and they love doing it.
God complex. What's it
watch
look
the
like?
Catholic video. All right, watch the Vatican one, and then watch the Scientology one. Okay, guys.
But to be fair, and like I said, I'm half Jewish, so I grew up in a church. Jewish people are very, very pointed towards other religions. You know what I mean? Like, I remember some things that they said about like basically calling like people who believed that like in Jesus and that like he was your savior, like just calling them the damned and shit like that all the time and saying like they had no hope and all this crazy shit, bro. So like I wouldn't say that's like any reason for anti-Semitism, but I would say like I've been around and in a lot of religions in my life, and I would say the one I grew up in, the Jewish faith, was terrible. It was genuinely pretty fucking bad. If the roof don't leak, then like I spent some time in a Baptist church too for a while after we stopped going to the Jewish church, and it was fine. Like I wasn't super interested in it, but there was no weird cultiness and like the outward like disdain for other religions wasn't there. Whether they were saying it or not, but it wasn't there. I didn't feel it.
A broken clock can be right.
But like, I'm Catholic Christian, yeah. But like how he said with Mormonism and Jewishism versus Christianity, like Mormonism and Jewish, it's like very cliquey, culty, like he's saying. Like it's more of like place to fit in and like this like clique and community and like it's hierarchy almost of like looking down and like, you know, trying to stay and like all the other people in the church is like, oh, this is a holier than thou person. They were trying to put any issues on church, on the whole religion. No, it's the whole religion. So it was a bunch of different churches too. And when we'd have people come from Israel, they were honestly scarier than the Jews in America. So there's this thing in Jewish culture, and basically in a lot of like in the Jewish religion now, there's a lot of people are very orthodox and very old schooly, and then there's like the clash, the people who've like converted, who are like farther along the generations and are more secular. But like for example, I saw this at a church that me and my family visited in a different state. It was another Jewish church, and it was called the oral circumcision ceremony that Jewish rabbis do at some Jewish places. They do it overseas a lot more. It doesn't happen in America as much, but basically after a baby boy in the Jewish faith has a circumcision, the rabbi, this is fucking gross, puts the penis to his lips and kisses it. to bless it and to heal it. That is an actual Jewish tradition. Sorry, what the fuck? You can Google it. Oh, hell no. It's an actual Jewish tradition. Like I said, it's not as popular in America, but they do that shit overseas all the time. If I can find it. It's called Brit Milah in Hebrew, I'm pretty sure. It's pretty fucking disturbing, bro. Yeah. The Orthodox Jewish tradition known as oral circumcision reaches back to biblical times, but it has created a modern day dilemma for New York City health officials and modern day Jews. Like, good morning. I can't see in any way, shape, or form how Jesus or God has condoned or blessed that in any way. I've never seen a single scripture in the Bible or other ways. I can't see any spiritual religious purpose of it other than at some point in the Jewish church, a bunch of creepy rabbis got together, made it a tradition, and then it just kept going. I don't call because it wasn't. So I remember when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? Where is this coming from? To a Bible study? No. Torah ain't it in there.
Twice a day.
There's
I used to
no
say that in
tradition of
every
it in
single
there.
one of my videos. Anyways, you might be Mormon in the afterlife and not even know it. Someone you've never met might decide to baptize you posthumously. It's very strange. Your consent is not asked for. You don't give consent, and according to Mormon theology, you are pressured to accept it in death. So those are the more surface level parts of the rabbit hole. Now we're kind
With
of
a
deeper in.
child. I think, I mean, obviously religion matters, but I think it shows to like a fucking primal standpoint of like, that is evil. Like, I don't see, no matter how, I'm sorry, even if I was a rabbi and I was like 100% a believer in God and God asked me to do that, like, I'm like, listen, God, I'm gonna take an L here. You have to send me downstairs, bro. Ain't no way. With that energy.
Things are more controversial. We have the Mountain Meadows Massacre. On September 11th, 1857, Mormon militia and allies slaughtered at least 120 Arkansas immigrants. Men, women, and children all traveling to California. Only kids that were too young to be credible witnesses were spared, children under the age of 7. Attackers dressed as Native Americans to disguise Mormon involvement, and the militia tricked survivors into surrendering under white flag, promising safe passage. Then they systematically executed them. Isaac Haight sent writer James Haslam on September 7th to seek Brigham Young's counsel, and Haslam rode 300 miles in under 3 days, which is up to 18 hours daily, swapping horses at Mormon settlements as they dropped dead from exhaustion. And Young received him on September 10th and immediately sent the reply, "Do not meddle with them and let them go in peace." And the massacre happened the next day. Young's letter arrived 2 days too late on September 13th. And when Haight read it, witnesses said he sobbed like a child and could only say, "Too late, too late." So was the letter genuinely delayed, or did local leaders wait until after the massacre to send the writer knowing that they'd have plausible deniability? Historians debate, obviously. They debate Brigham Young's culpability. His rhetoric about blood atonement and defending Zion created the climate, but whether or not he ordered the massacre directly remains unclear. John D. Lee was executed 20 years later as a scapegoat, while other perpetrators lived freely. And the LDS Church calls it perhaps the most tragic episode in church history, but still resists full accountability. Classic church style. Now more about Brigham Young. Brigham taught that some sins were so heinous, Christ's atonement wasn't even. The only way to salvation was to spill the sinner's blood upon the ground. And Young said, if your neighbor wishes salvation, it is necessary to spill his blood. Spill it. Historical scholars link this doctrine to a climate of violence that led to over 100 extrajudicial killings in the Utah Territory, including Mountain Meadows. And the church later disavowed it, but the damage was obviously already done. Next, we have another Brigham Young classic.
During the creation of the United States, the Mormons were a big problem for the government for a while until the government said, listen, bro, we're not playing with your games anymore. They clamped down on them, false prophets. Oh, yeah. Brigham Young to this day, like dude, I don't know if I'll get into it, but like a lot of the stuff Brigham Young said obviously is good. Like you should wait till marriage to have sex, blah 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 blah. But then like like dude, there's something about him like going onto a mountain and talking to a lizard, and the lizard telling him that he should like impregnate a bunch of women. So like there's like he's putting like a bunch of prophets out into the world and shit. It's weird. Is this until I dated one?
One of the most viral
my best friend growing up was Mormon.
things about Mormons.
But I honestly, but I lived in North Carolina, so I didn't know anything about Mormons then. But yeah, it's a literal lizard, and there's even like a picture of it in like the Mormon text. Pretty god, it was me. I'm like the Mushu of Mulan for Brigham Young, but I'm so horny freak. I got comments. I don't know if they were straight up lying, experiencing drugs, actual crazy schizophrenic manic people, or they were just telling tall tales to manipulate and control a group of people. I don't fucking know.
Internet. This is the biggest hate piece you see. Brigham Young.
I mean, they did kill all the Indians in the territory. The Mormons did. They could have got some of that peyote, bro, and smoking on the peace pipe that was left over. Because some of these stories sound kind of crazy.
Publicly announced in 1852 that black men could no longer be ordained to priesthood. Black people also were banned from temple ceremonies, endowments, and eternal marriage. So in essence,
not me doing it, but like me tempting others, like, oh, yo, she's in, go get her.
Total institutional ban from full participation in the religion of Mormonism. What exactly was Young's justification? Well, Cain killed Abel to gain advantage, so God cursed Cain's descendants, aka black people, to not receive priesthood until all the rest of Adam's descendants received it first. He taught that black people were less valiant in the premortal life and were being punished with dark skin and restrictions in mortality. Young even had some choice words on the penalty for a white-black interracial marriage. If they mingle their seed with Cain's seed, the law is that the capital punishment of death shall be inflicted. He advocated for killing people engaged in interracial relationships. Now I know
I did not know that.
I
knew they were racist back in the day.
History in regard to race and interracial relationships and all this stuff. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It's more American shit. The ban lasted 126 years, from 1852 to 1978, and it was not ended due to social pressure or revelation, but rather according to internal church documents, the church was facing protests, BYU sports boycotts, and public relations nightmares.
Damn.
On June 8th, 1978, President Spencer W. Kimball announced that black men could receive priesthood. With now in modern times 1 to 3% of Mormons.
Like I said, I'm not doing it to promote Mormonism or anything like that. We talk about it, we've joked about it. You guys have come out to Utah, so I saw it pop up on my For You page, Pop Religion People Call a Cult, and I just thought it'd be cool to learn about how fucking fucked up their lore is. Yo, the Christ. I'll see if I can find the picture. Mormon wizard. It was a salamander, my bad. It's called the salamander letter that he received. Yeah, and apparently he was talking to salamander. 1834. I'm trying to figure out if it was Brigham or... Oh, it was Joseph. It wasn't Brigham who talked to the... It was Joseph who talked to the salamander. The OG guy, my bad.
1 to 3% of Mormons are black. A 2013 church...
Oh, I didn't show you this picture. I had it on my other monitor. And there's also a Crew Chime documentary that goes along with the salamander story. So basically, the salamander story was a here it is. Here's a popular Mormon picture. It was a hidden story in the Mormon church, and it was in the archives that only like bishops or whatever the fuck they call them can go into, and like the most trusted Mormon members. And apparently in this historical archive, there was a bunch of original writings and rewritings from Joseph Smith and Brigham Young and some other predominant church figures. And when the historians found this one about the salamander story, and it was basically like giving Joseph Smith permission to impregnate whoever on God's command, basically. And this historian found it, and I think like the 2000s or something, right? I can look it up. And when he found it, he brought it to the other people in the church. He's like, have you guys seen this? Like, this is crazy. And he started discovering other weird, odd stuff. And I think a week or two later, he ended up missing. They found him dead. the salamander story that he had told someone else about, and that person talked to police that he was like working this Mormon story. The salamander story, they went to the Mormon archives, got a subpoena to like search it. They couldn't find the salamander story anywhere. When they were searching his house, they found he actually made a copy of the salamander story, and then that's where the courts like started investigating and actually got the actual document and stuff like that. So yeah, they don't know who murdered him to this day. So he was murdered. Yeah, so it was a guy named Mark Hoffman who discovered it, and then he was killed.
Church essay admitted the
Encyclopedia
ban
real
had
quick.
its roots more in racism.
But that happened in the 2000s, like the early 2000s, I'm pretty sure, where he discovered it and was like gonna threaten, like they showed the church. The church was like, yeah, don't tell anyone this. We got to keep this stuff a secret, blah, blah, blah. And then he threatened to expose them, and he ended up dead.
Than revelation, and disavowed all previous explanations, but there was no official apology. There was no accountability. It's just, we disavow the theories while continuing to venerate Brigham Young with statues, temples, and a
Yeah, literally. It's like Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, they worship out here. Statues, temples, colleges. They put their names on mountains. They got it everywhere you go, everywhere you look. But yet these dudes were fucking racist, pedophiles, polygamists. Like they were just the fucking worst. Not to shun the Mormon religion, but like there's documented crimes and actions that these people did, and they straight up wrote terrible things down for other people to do.
university named after him, and blah 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 blah. I'm
And this later,
um
give me a test after this chat. Make sure you're taking
classic
notes.
type awesome stuff. They literally said a broken clock still is right twice a day. They didn't say that. That's not true. Current members are seemingly taught the ban was a policy, not doctrine, and that past prophets were speaking as men and not prophets always when they were taught it. But unfortunately, to a lot of people, this creates a massive theological problem. If prophets can be completely and fundamentally wrong about doctrines for 126 years, how can they possibly be right about anything? But it's, you know, they're speaking as people. They don't like black people, but everything else they say is fine, I guess. I don't really know.
Dang.
I don't-
And motherfucking Drake. With a gifted sub! The first gifted sub of stream. Thank you so motherfucking much for the love. Shout out Drake. Getting cheese fries? Hell yeah.
I don't know a lot about it. All I know is I think we read different Bibles. All right. Have you ever heard of Mark Hoffman, aka the Mormon forager
At the front, I will say this. There is a weird obsession because my mom was fascinated by Mormonisms and Mormons and stuff like that for a long time. And I met a lot of other ladies who are just fascinated by Mormonism, Amish people, like folky religions and ways of life. You know?
He was a master forager that created fake historical documents in the early 1980s that fooled everybody. The FBI, the Library of Congress, the Church of Latter-day Saints, church historians, and even polygraph experts. His forgeries were that good.
Damn.
He understood Mormon history well enough to create documents that filled fairly embarrassing
Georgia
gaps and
Helen.
confirmed critics' suspicions. The most famous of Hoffman's forgeries was the Salamander Letter in 1984. Which
Damn.
was supposedly written.
Yeah, so this is the Salamander Letter after it was changed, I think. And the Mormons try to say that this was the letter. Because the original I think the whole Book of Mormon is on the internet now. I think it got leaked. Whole book. Let's see if it's on the internet. No! Only about 30% of the Book of Mormon is accessible by the public. What the fuck? Oh, hell no. This is scarier than I thought. Wait, what? They're only telling them 30% of all the shit they believe in? Bro, how are you going to subscribe to a religion and you only get to know 30% of what's in the book about the religion? A copy of the book, it's insane. No wonder that book is so small. I was about to say, bro, no way they could have a whole religion in that tiny little Book of Mormon. I was like, ain't no way. You know, it's a cult. Why do they... Dude, there must be some crazy shit in it.
By Martin Harris to W.W. Phelps, my great-great-great-grandfather. And you may remember earlier, the explanation is that Joseph Smith was...
I don't even think they know what's on it. I don't like I think that like what this guy is saying, so over time, as time moved on, we've been educated, people have seen the truth, they the wool has been removed from their eyes and they can see into it. They've realized that like it's like a lot of the stuff that a lot of religions, not all, believed in was BS, so they toned it back and they're like, oh, we gotta get some of this stuff out of here because they're not gonna buy that. Could read the Bible to the congregation. Yeah, like Martin Luther King.
Was led to the golden plate, so there was an angelic visitation. It was this massive holy thing. But Mr. Hoffman made it kind of goofy and weird and turned it into a magic / folk legend belief.
It was just Martin Luther. I don't know why I said Martin Luther King. Right? They weren't both named Martin Luther King. Okay, yeah, it was just Martin Luther was the priest.
And the angelic visitation.
Yeah. But it's John Martin Luther King Jr. though.
So venerated by the Mormons at the time. And this forgery was so scary to the Church of Latter-day Saints that they quietly purchased it for $40,000 to keep it controlled. So Hoffman's scheme was to create controversial documents, sell those documents.
That's smart. And here's the crazy thing is, he was creating controversial, fucked up documents at the church, and the church was believing they were real, and they were buying them to keep them a secret. That's actually crazy. They're like, oh shit, we probably did say some fucked up shit like that.
To the church or wealthy collectors, and then use the money to fund his increasingly expensive lifestyle to buy time for the next forgery.
Hey, all men are equal.
1985, Hoffman was in debt and could not deliver promised documents. And on October 15th, 1985, 2 pipe bombs exploded in Salt Lake City. The first killed document collector Stephen Christensen, who'd been involved in Hoffman's deals, and the second killed Kathy Sheets, wife of Christensen's former business partner. She was the wrong target.
A bomb in Salt Lake City.
Her husband. On October 16th, a third bomb exploded in Hoffman's car and injured him. Police initially thought he was another victim, but investigation later revealed that he was the bomber. And that is what led to them discovering the forgery. They found microscopic alligatoring patterns in ink that proved modern manufacturing. By January...
Wait, what? It looked like cracked like alligator skin or marks, although authentic period ink did not. Dark side, yeah, religious murders.
Microscopic alligatoring patterns in ink that proved modern manufacturing. By January 1987, Hoffman pled guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder, 1 count of theft by deception, and 1 count of fraud. He received a life sentence and is currently in prison. The Netflix documentary Murder Among the Mormons covers this case. One of the most
why are there so many murder with the murder in Mormon territory documentaries and YouTube videos and true crimes? There are so many.
Parts of this is that the church purchased multiple of Hoffman's forgeries and kept them from the public to control the Mormon narrative.
Yo, what up, Nova?
They didn't care if they were true. They cared about the management of perception. And when they turned out to be fake,
our religion unlock a part of brain that allows reality to get a little twisted. Oh, for sure.
The church was embarrassed a second time. Once for being duped, and once again for suppressing documents that they literally believed were real. How about the lost 116 pages? Martin Harris, early follower and financier, kind of the Jeffrey Epstein of Mormons, lost the first 116 pages of the Book of Mormon manuscript.
What the fuck?
Joseph Smith claimed God revealed that enemies would alter the pages to discredit him if he retranslated them. Epically convenient excuse, I've got to say. Smith never reproduced it, and the Book of Mormon now starts at a later point in the narrative. Critics, like South Park, argue that he just couldn't remember what he had made up. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Look, I'm sorry about losing the pages we worked on, Joe, but I'm ready to write it all down again if you translate from the plates.
The Lord said he is very angry with me for letting you take those pages.
He is?
It's just out of curiosity.
He said we must now
read what?
The plate of Nephi. So it will
the Book of Mormon?
Basic story, but written
100 pages.
Wow. If God got angry with you, then you must be telling the truth. Dum 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 dum.
Wait, Mormons actually know this story and they still believe Joseph Smith was a prophet?
Well, sure. The story proves it, doesn't it?
That's the Mormon family. That's literally it right there. Blanks, expressions, smiles, blondes.
No, it proves he did make it all up. Are you blind?
This advertisement is brought to you by a dead Arnuki Beast. Thank you to ZocDoc for sponsoring this video. Confession time. I've been meaning to book a doctor's appointment for appointment I lets you month health and doctor. We're getting a bit deeper. How about the Danites? Ever heard of the Mormon Vigilante Enforcers? A secret group that was formed in 1838 in Missouri during escalating conflicts with non-Mormon neighbors. Thomas B. Marsh, a former church leader who defected, testified they vowed to support the heads of the church in all things that they say or do, whether right or wrong. You can totally see the cultish lines being crossed on a pretty consistent basis.
I think it was fair, funny joke. I don't think it was too offensive.
Back in the 1800s, right, guys? So we have these group of enforcers that are willing to stop it.
They had settlements in Missouri, Idaho, and somewhere else. There's another big Mormon setup somewhere in America. The biggest is Utah, but I know Missouri, Idaho, and there's one more, or like there's like a weird concentration of Mormons.
Nothing to defend the heads of church, the Danites. They weren't just offensive. They burned approximately 50 homes, looted shops, and displaced 100 non-Mormon families.
Arizona? It might be. It might be somewhere out west. I think it is.
Davis County. On October 18th, 1838, they marched under arms in 3 groups to clean out
There's a Mormon museum here, and you can go and like get a tour, and it's free, and they tell you all about it and their history. I wonder if I went and did it, like what a different narrative they would spin about all these stories to me versus what we're hearing about now.
Local citizens were obviously outraged. And on October 30th, 1838, there was the Hansville Massacre, which was a retaliatory attack by a 240-man Missouri militia against a Mormon settlement. They killed 17 people, including 10-year-old Sardius Smith. And his killer said, "Nits will make lice, and if he had lived, he would have become a Mormon." Bodies were mutilated, women were
So the biggest religion in the entire world is Christianity, with 2.3 billion, 1.9 for Islam. But when I click on Christianity, it shows the subcategories, and Mormonism is inside of Christianity, and they have over 500 million followers. So that's a lot. 500 million? Well, that's what they say. I mean, half those members might be dead.
Assaulted and property was stolen, and no Missourians were prosecuted.
I'm not gonna lie, everything on the internet says their category, whether it's a spiritual category or a physical category, they categorize them as a Christian religion. But I think it's, like I said, only because, like, I mean, they were Christians and they were following the Bible, but then the Jesus was like, all right, you're after the Bible, it's time for the next Bible, Book of Mormon. So I think it's just got roots in Christianity. I don't think it's like they have the same. Forgot about that part.
So why did this happen? Well, 3 days earlier, Governor Lilburn Boggs issued Executive Order 44, the extermination.
I wonder if those numbers are accurate, if they're like rappers and they're like pumping their Spotify numbers for all these religions. That's 500 million. That sounds like a lot. Dude, that's almost like that's 500 million, bro. Like, dude, no way, right? There's no way there's 500 million Mormons. What's the word? Plagiarism?
Orders. Star Wars shit. The order said that Mormons must be treated as enemies.
That's it. I don't think it's plagiarism because they didn't copy it. They completely like twisted and ripped it off and used people's pre-existing belief in Christianity to make them believe in all this other shit.
And must be exterminated or driven from the state if necessary for the public peace. This order remained law in Missouri until 1976.
It's like, oh, you believe in Jesus? You won't believe what Jesus told me. You won't believe the Bible 2.0 just dropped and you don't have it.
So it was in retaliation to the Danites. And Joseph Smith initially endorsed the Danites, but...
Hey, motherfucking Drake, what a honey bitch, chat. Not Drake popping off in chat. Thank you so much.
Later turned against them as violence spiraled out of control. But the damage was done. They'd established a pattern of vigilante enforcement that would follow Mormonism all the way to Utah. Ever heard of Porter Rockwell, the destroying angel of Mormondom? Joseph Smith and
What the fuck? Chat, you're about to be mind blown. Just gotta find it. this video right here where I explored the abandoned town in Utah, we're talking about those guys that he was just talking about. Like, the picture's literally right down there. That's the picture they just showed on screen. What the fuck? I literally saw this in real life. You been there? That's cool. Yeah. No wonder the town was considered haunted. Isn't used to know Mormon church is a Christian church. Like I said, I think it's more religious scholars, like people who are like more of like interested in the history of religion, where it comes from, the basis, and not as much of like a spiritual level. So you're coming from like a spiritual level, but I'm talking about like from a scholarly, historical, academic sense. You know what I mean?
Brigham Young's
About
personal
life.
bodyguard and alleged enforcer was Porter Rockwell, a man credited with killing more men than Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Bat Masterson, and Tom Horn combined. Although that accuracy is debated, is, you know, ancient history at this point. Not really, it's pretty recent, but still, people just made shit up. Porter was a Danite member and deputy U.S. Marshal, and Joseph Smith promised if Rockwell never cut his hair, he'd never be harmed. He never cut it and died of natural causes. The Salt Lake Tribune claimed he participated.
That's crazy. So where I was at was that's where he was, the town where he apparently was doing all that terrible stuff at. In that jail that I went in, he was apparently in there. What the fuck is this?
In at least 100 murders. Historians question the number, but his reputation.
Unrelated matter. No, it wasn't just that, Turk. And from like when I was in college and I had to take one religion course, I'm pretty sure it's the same way. So like historically and like scholarly speaking, not spiritually speaking, if how they classify religions is not based on like all the separate teachings like that. So like Mormons believe Jesus died on the cross for their sins, and through that way they can have eternal salvation. And so that's why they're considered Christians, just like how like Methodists believe that, Baptists believe that, and I think that's how they're grouping it. They believe in the blood of Christ, versus where other religions don't believe in the blood of Christ. They believe in another type of Messiah, something like that.
Was quite violent. That's the kind of mother that them dudes was rolling with. All right, this shit is scary, man. I shouldn't even be talking about. I'm about to drive through Utah. By the time this video comes out, though, I'll probably already have been back. TBH. This was recorded in like August. How about the Council of 50, a shadow theocratic government secret political organization founded by Joseph Smith in March of 1844, just months before his assassination.
They still use the Bible to worship too. Yeah. So like I said, I think they use the Bible to worship and they believe in all this stuff, but I think other Christians just don't want them to be associated with them. And so that's like where this type of like other religions like, oh, we're gonna be associated with that. Because there are so many crazy things. I wouldn't want a religion that's had so much dark history being associated with, you know, a religion that it's not practicing those terrible side things as well. So yeah, angelic.
The official name is the kingdom of God and his laws with the keys and powers thereof and judgment in the hands of his servants. That is a bullshit name. On April 11th, 1844, Smith was received as king, priest, and ruler over Israel on earth. The Mormons believe that Utah is like Israel. This was not a symbolic title, by the way. This was a literal ceremony establishing.
So like for like even Pentecostal people are considered Christians, and yeah.
J. Smith as a political and religiously sovereign. This dude
I'm
was a
God
God king. And the council planned for the kingdom of God, theocratic government.
Key matters. Like I said, you're not recognizing it, but I'm telling you, like ancient scholars who are like study these things for hundreds of thousands of years, have went to like school for 40 like PhDs, master's degrees. They are religiously categorizing religions. They're the people we look for to do these things, so we can, you know, study and understand different religions. Are saying they're Christian. I'm not saying they're Christian.
To replace existing democratic systems in Utah.
The human-made constructs of religion are saying they're Christian. Spiritually, you can believe they're not.
Like other Mormon organizations, the Council of 50 included 3 non-Mormon members initially, giving it a veneer of non-sectarian legitimacy because they're trying to start a whole new government and they kind of have to have that. But
that's crazy.
Make no mistake.
Utah was trying to become its own country for a while. Well, I guess Mormons, I don't know if they've been called Utah.
It was absolutely a theocratic shadow Mormon government. Their activities included...
There's so many religious places here, like there's Zion, Jordan, Israel, Jerusalem, Babylon. There's so many religious towns here.
The following: sending ambassadors to Russia, the Republic of Texas at the time, England, and France to negotiate for Mormon settlements, coordinating with Joseph Smith's 1844 presidential campaign, which was a f***ing joke, planning westward migration and establishment of more Mormon territorial government, discussing how the church would govern settlements and eventually the world. Then after Smith's death, Brigham Young took control and the council operated as a shadow government in Utah territory from 1848 to 1851, meeting regularly to make territorial decisions outside official democratic channels because, you know, there's a governor and stuff and like the states have their own laws. They met sporadically until 1868, then essentially disbanded as Utah moved towards legitimate statehood. Their discussions and minutes were sealed from...
I wonder if there still is like a shadow government here in Utah because... Or if just all the elected officials are fucking Mormon. I don't know. Probably a little bit of both.
1844 until they were opened in September of 2016. That's 172 years of secrecy. And when they were finally released, they confirmed what people who were critical of Mormons had long suspected. Early Mormon leadership planned for a theocratic government. They believed in divine right to rule and expected to eventually govern the entire world under Mormon law.
Religions.
The Mormon Caliphate. Smith's vision called it a theo-democracy, supposedly blending theocratic rule with democratic principles, but in practice it just means absolute power concentrated in the hands of the prophet king with a council of loyalists, rubber stamping decisions framed as divine will of the God King. It's laughable thinking about it now. We almost, I mean, we're working back that way though, to be honest. We're so really deep. Anyways, now on to
the question is, I guess, nowadays in 2025, does the Mormon church have any ill intent? I guess that's the big question. Because, like, obviously a lot of these bad actors and super evil dudes back in the day are now dead, obviously. But, like, it's just like, what are they like in 2025? And they do have an air of secrecy. Like, one thing I like about a lot of religions, like, the Jewish religion is very private and secret, kind of like Mormonism, I would say. Like Catholic, they're not as open, but they're a lot more open than like Mormons and Jewish people. Christian, like most like, you know, Baptist type, Methodist type are very open to everyone. Like they're gonna answer any questions, you know, like you ask, or, you know, they're gonna have all their beliefs and writings and teaching on a piece of paper and hand it to you for free. And there's gonna be no next tier, next level, learn this, do that, blah, 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 blah.
Lafferty brother murders in 1984.
Oh, yeah.
Ron and Dan Lafferty were both raised mainstream LDS, but after excommunication for polygamy beliefs, they joined the School of Prophets, which was yet another fundamentalist Mormon splinter group that taught blood atonement and plural marriage. In March of 1984, Ron Lafferty recorded...
Dude, I low-key want to like go underground and like join the Mormon church and see if there's all these offshoots and like different things still going on, like go undercover.
What he called a removal revelation from God. And the revelation commanded him to kill 4 people: Brenda Lafferty, his brother Alan's wife, Erica Lafferty, Brenda and Alan's 15-month-old daughter, Chloe Lowe, another woman who opposed the brothers, and Richard Stowe, a church leader.
He killed 4 women?
Brenda was obstructing God's work because she'd encouraged Alan to stand up to his brothers and supported other family women in leaving the fundamentalist group. She was vocal and educated and just would not submit. And in the brothers' theology, that made her worthy of blood atonement, which, as we've talked about already, is like a really early fundamentalist Mormon thing. July 24th, 1984, Ron and Dan drove to Alan and Brenda's apartment in American Fork, Utah. While Alan was at work, they found Brenda and the baby at home. They slit Brenda's throat, and then they killed the 15-month-old Erica the exact same way. Brothers then planned to kill the other 2 targets, but were interrupted and fled, and police eventually caught them in Nevada. At the trial, Ron was convicted and sentenced to death. He died in 2019 of natural causes on death row, and Dan was convicted and sentenced to 2 2 consecutive life terms without parole, and he's still in prison. Prison, as opposed to prison. Rot. That's all I've got to say. Both
So
brothers showed
recent.
zero remorse. Ron maintained until his death that he was following God's commandment, and Dan had written extensively about the murders, framing them as righteous acts. These people are not, fit for modern society. The case even inspired John Krakauer's 2003 book, Under the
That's so
Banner of
messed
Heaven,
up.
and the 2022 Hulu series. It exposed how early Mormon teachings about blood atonement, absolute prophetic authority, and divine violence
Is that
can be
Andrew
weaponized
Garfield?
by fundamentalists who take the theology to its logical
That looks
extreme.
sick.
The scary part is that there is a logical extreme there.
That actually looks
There
pretty
is
good.
Objectively, a roadmap of extremes in Mormonism. That's what's scary about it. It's a little bit scary. How about the Utah War of 1857 to 1858? President Buchanan sent federal troops to remove Brigham Young as territorial governor after reports of theocratic rule. In response, Young declared martial law and prepared for armed resistance. The Utah Territory at this time operated as a theocracy, not a democracy, and Young held religious and political power simultaneously. This is the period in which the Mountain Meadows Massacre occurred and which other things we've talked about previously. Eventually, though, it was resolved without a major battle when federal troops were allowed.
I didn't know there was so much bloody war history of the government with Mormons too. Hey, and Sammy Swear with $1 TTS. You so much.
And Young stepped down as governor, but kept religious control, of course. Now, how about Joseph Smith's presidential campaign? We mentioned this in passing a little while ago, but Smith ran for president of the United States as an independent candidate in 1844. He advocated for overthrowing the U.S. government in favor of a Mormon-ruled theocracy if Congress didn't meet his demands. Prophesied that Congress would be broken up as a government and God shall damn them. The Council of 50 coordinated his campaign, and he was assassinated by a mob in June of 1844 before election. The theocratic ambitions were once again objectively real and totally true.
Damn.
Up and crazy. Now,
you take over America.
We repeatedly mentioned Joseph Smith's death. This is the event that officially is recognized as leading to that event, the Nauvoo Expositor Destruction of 1844. June 7th, 1844, the Nauvoo Expositor published its first and only issue. It was run by former Mormon insiders and dissenters. The paper detailed Joseph Smith's practice of polygamy, criticized his theocratic rule over Nauvoo, and accused him of other various crimes. This led to Smith and the Nauvoo City Council meeting for 14 hours over 2 days, June 8th and 10th, to discuss the paper. At 6:30 p.m. on June 10th, they declared the Expositor a public nuisance and ordered its destruction. That evening, the marshal led approximately 100 men, including members of the Nauvoo Legion, Smith's personal militia, to the print shop. They dismantled the press, scattered the type, and burned remaining copies of the newspaper in the street. And destroying a printing press in 1840s America was not taken lightly.
That's
freedom of the
free
press
speech,
was
freedom of the press.
sacrosanct, and local non-Mormon
You
authorities.
didn't have like social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, phones like that. So the newspaper, the press was your entertainment. How you knew what was going on in the world, just everything.
Issued warrants for Smith's arrest on charges of riot. And when Smith and his brother Hiram surrendered to authorities in Carthage on June 25th, they were additionally charged with treason against the state of Illinois for declaring martial law in Nauvoo in response to the warrants. 2 days later, on June 27th, 1844, a mob stormed Carthage jail and killed both of the brothers. The Nauvoo Expositor incident is what directly led to Joseph Smith's death. He ordered the destruction of a newspaper that exposed his Mormon shit, his polygamy, and theocratic ambitions, and that act of censorship resulted in charges that put him in jail, where he was then vulnerable to the mob. And the church frames his death as martyrdom, but critics frame it as consequences for silencing the press and accumulating unchecked power in the land of America. And also, he fought back. He was not a lamb. He fought back, for sure. The fundamentalists were not a pacifist people. That is for sure. Very, very, very objectively not. This is where things get a little more
funny
crazy.
beliefs.
Okay, we're talking about legends.
There's
and myths
like,
and potentially
what's it
hoaxes and
called?
all.
Like salad bowl head religion, where like it's an actual like formed religion, and you can like get like become a member in it, where you wear a salad bowl in your head 24/7, and like you can go into an airport or go anywhere and feel like, hey, no hats in here, and you're like, oh, it's part of my religion. You have to keep this. You're allowed to keep the salad bowl on your head.
All kinds of stuff. And if you're a Mormon and you're watching, you're probably
like
going to very much disagree with everything from here in, to be honest. But take, for example, the Kinderhook plates hoax, which is the claim that Joseph Smith fell for a fucking prank, and that's how Mormonism was started. A group
Landed
of
in
Illinois
religious
men
hardware.
created 6 fake brass plates with bogus engravings, buried them in a mound, and then discovered them. It was a test. Can the prophet actually translate ancient languages, or is he just making it up? Because we made it up. Cain got me. Smith took the bait. He examined the plates and claimed to translate part of them, said that they contained the genealogy of descendants of Ham, one of the most delicious of cured meats, and also one of Noah's sons.
He fell for it?
He was confident, and he was very specific. Fast forward to the 1980s, scientists tested the plates and found 19th century brass with modern tool marks. The engravings were nonsense, scratched by blacksmiths having a laugh, and the prophet, it made him look like a fool. Now, obviously, the church has to respond to everything, so they said that maybe he was just speculating. Maybe he didn't really claim to translate them. But the historical record says otherwise. Multiple witnesses recorded Smith presenting his translation of the completely fake brass plates. This matters because if Smith couldn't tell the difference between ancient plates and a hoax made by frontier goobers back in the olden times, why would anybody ever trust his translation of the original golden plates when nobody ever saw it?
That's damning evidence.
You know, it's bad. How about the Book of Abraham and the Egyptian papyrus fraud? In 1835, Joseph Smith purchased Egyptian mummies and papyrus from a traveling exhibition. He then claimed to translate the papyri as writings of Abraham. But every Egyptologist who's ever examined them, starting in the 1860s, says it's a common Egyptian funerary text, the Book of Breathings, with zero connection to Abraham or anything else that the Mormons were familiar with.
I'm not saying he's lying, bro, but how does he know this? Was there proof? Is like an article, or does someone just say, hey, like, this is fucked. Like, this is actually making him look terrible. Like, I've watched deep dives into religions before, and, like, every religion's got some stuff, like, where, like, a leader, or, like, they made a bad decision, or something seemed a little off, but this is really bad, like, as far as, like, the inconsistencies throughout.
But the church still maintains the Book of Abraham as scripture, despite it being proven as total fraud. Then they introduced the catalyst theory. Maybe God used fake papyri to inspire real revelation. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Have you ever heard of Zelf and the white lamanite? Well, Smith's group was traveling through Illinois with the Zion's Camp militia when they found bones in a burial mound. And Smith had a vision. He identified a skeleton as Zelf, or a white lamanite warrior who fought under a prophet general and died in the last great struggle between the Nephites and the Lamanites. 7 members wrote it down. They were very impressed. The prophet could identify ancient warriors from bones through visions. But one problem is that the Book of Mormon explicitly describes the Lamanites as cursed with dark skin. It's like the whole point. God marked them so the Nephites wouldn't mix with them. So what exactly is a white Lamanite? A Lamanite who was righteous enough to potentially lose the curse? Then why did he die fighting for the Lamanites against the Nephites? I don't know. Do you know? Nobody knows. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's theology,
confused.
and it doesn't make a lot of, just from a fundamental perspective. It also places Book of Mormon geography in Illinois, which contradicts modern claims about Central and South America. So Zelf is a pretty embarrassing plot hole in the whole thing. And every religion has such embarrassing plot holes. All of them, dude. I'm so grateful that my parents raised me my mom grew up Catholic, and my father grew up speaking to the trees and the bugs and stuff.
Speaking to the bugs.
Vamos, love y'all cuties.
Bro, gracias. Bro, with a $10 TTS.
Vamos, love y'all cuties.
From the one, the only Cheryl. Thank you so motherfucking much for a $10 TTS. I appreciate the fuck out of you. Bro, Turk, I'm not gonna lie, the more this goes on, and I don't like to falsely believe anything. Like, if you pop up articles on the screen or some sort of stuff, I'm not saying he's lying. I'm sure he wouldn't go on YouTube. This video has over 1 million views and say all this stuff with no backing. At the same time, this is like so damn bad, making them look so crazy if this is true, that, like, because like he said, they're like, every religion's had some sort of, you know, false prophet, someone doing this, doing that, blah 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 blah. In the shadows, bro. We need our talkative cherry bat. Miss your energy. I miss your charisma. Miss your funniness. But even compared to those religions who've, you know, had different things that have happened and it shouldn't have happened and they should have stuck to the Bible, this is the worst I've ever seen. ever.
loves nature a lot, and he's just like, just don't talk so much. That's the kind of guy that he is. Takes his shoes off, walks in the woods, bow hunts,
Another E-Day.
blood on the face.
You should have waited till tomorrow, because tomorrow is hump day and it's 50% off. My harassment. Bro, honestly, actually I shouldn't say that. That would put me in a bad spot.
Spirit of the Wild. That's my dad. And my mom grew up Catholic, and she's awesome.
No, I'll say it. My love language is rage baiting, you know? But if I'm not in the mood, I'm not in the mood.
I read the Bible and I liked it a lot. I read Soren Kierkegaard and I liked it a lot. If you read much more beyond that, there's a lot of plot holes.
And I'll tell you this, chat. So like growing up, I traveled around a lot and like was like in a lot of scenes where people were just didn't have any morals, and I didn't have the strongest morals, but I just knew some things were just inevitably just kind of like evil in my mind, and I owe that to reading the Bible growing up. And like innately, there's so many things in the Bible that will help you physically, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually, just off the words alone. If you just listen to them, it doesn't matter if you believe in God or Jesus, just basic things that help humans live happily, healthier, treat others better, treat yourself better, and have a better quality of life, and to treat others better. Like, you know, that's overall an amazing teaching that, you know, I try to carry with me regardless.
Following the institutions of man. Oh my God, what the these people, you want me to believe that shit? You crazy son of a bitch. It's all about personal faith, brother. It's all about pragmatism. How do I feel good? How do I live my best life in accordance to morals and ethics? Anyways, talk about living the best life. How about the Adam God doctrine? Brigham Young taught for years that Adam is literally God the Father in flesh, and Adam came to the Garden of Eden with one of his celestial wives, aka Eve, and created humanity. This is the same God that Mormons worship. They worship Adam. But later church presidents completely reject this teaching, calling it false doctrine because it creates an obvious, unresolvable theological contradiction.
Damn.
Was Young a prophet or not? The modern church, as far as I could find, has yet to address it directly. Joseph Smith also liked digging holes and had some folk magic early on in his life. Before claiming to find gold plates, Smith was hired as a scryer, using seer stones to locate buried treasure, which is hilarious. And convicted in an 1826 court case for glass looking, aka fraud, Smith drew magic circles for treasure hunting rituals, which was a practice associated with necromancy and occultism, and used the same chocolate-colored seer stone from his treasure digging days to translate the Book of Mormon. The church released photos of the stone in 2015, finally admitting the rock and hat method, and critics see this as proof that Smith was a con artist who stumbled into a religious movement, and believers see it as God using the imperfect vessel, which is so convenient. Once again, man, it's awesome. I love the convenience. Pragmatism, convenience. Wait a second. You're full of shit. Well, hold on there. Not everybody's perfect.
I think like a big thing is too, like what he said, like nowadays, like social Mormons, what Mormonism is like on the mass scale, what it is today, it's probably more similar to Christianity. I think like the LDS, and if you get really involved in the church, it probably is nothing like Christianity whatsoever. But now seeing more of this crazy shit that they used to believe in, they used to say, and now the church is disavowing, I can see how like in no way, shape, or form would that relate with Christianity at all. I think the modern day church, sure, yeah, but post 2000, these motherfuckers were like legit crazy, bro.
We own a lot of land. We'll get into that too. That shit's crazy. How about Freemasonry? Little Mormon tie-in here with Freemasons. My nose itches a lot. Sorry guys, little spider web came out of my nose. The endowment ceremony includes secret handshakes, tokens, keywords, and
secret handshakes. Grip of entered acceptance to the past grip of fellow craft, real grip of fellow craft, past grip of master mason, real grip of lion's paw. Dude, I'm gonna start shaking hands like this. I'm icing the cake, bro. Turk, we gotta start shaking hands like this one on the bottom, bro. Actually, I can't split my fingers apart like that.
Oaths. Critics note striking similarities to Masonic rituals, which I've witnessed, by the way. I didn't even realize. I went to some Boy Scout shit one time. I wasn't a Boy Scout. I always thought they were getting molested and stuff. But I went to a Boy Scout thing and I saw all these people and they were standing around wearing shit. And I was like, what? No.
For some reason, I don't have like.
Come on now, bud. Come on now. Warren County, just outside of damn Skyline High School out there. Come on, the damn rituals from the rituals of Mormonism, which is not surprising since Joseph Smith became a Freemason in March of 1842 and then introduced the endowment ceremony just 2 months later in May 1842.
That's crazy.
The original ceremony included blood oath penalties. Participants pantomimed their own execution in 3 ways. They drew the right thumb across the throat in a slitting motion, which is a penalty for revealing the first token. Then they made clawing motions on chest to represent heart being ripped out, which is a penalty for the second token. And they mimed disembowelment by drawing hand across the stomach.
The secret handshake,
which is the penalty for the third token.
In the order of the arrow in Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts are fucked up too.
Every member who went through the temple before 1990 performed.
I watched that Boy Scout documentary on Netflix. Shout out to my mom and dad for never putting me in Boy Scouts.
These goofy ass emotes and the accompanying words. In 1990, facing some media exposure and some uncomfortable questions, the church removed all penalties from the ceremony and also eliminated the 5 points of fellowship at the veil, which
when I was 9. And I think it's, similar to what we talk all the time. I think some clubs in your hometown where, a couple of dads, in the neighborhood start a Boy Scout club for the local community. I'm sure that was fine, but the Boy Scouts as a whole was a fucked up organization.
It's a full body embrace with arm around shoulder. It's a bunch of weird shit, and they removed the Protestant
to the top
preacher character who was depicted as
I had friends who were Boy Scouts, but I never was one.
He's a Protestant.
We had something called, and it wasn't as hard, like as deep as Boy Scouts. We had something called Pathfinders, where there's like a religious group and they would teach you like all the stuff they teach you in Boy Scouts, but it was like less frequent, not as like much money poured into it. Christian denominations, Freemasonry.
And Protestants, we all know, are evil, I guess. I don't really know.
Freemason?
I don't know a lot about
what do you do?
Any of the more formal religions. All I know is that venerating pagan shit. I don't know. Church sacrament robes, church robes, veneration of... I really don't know what I'm talking about. Older members of the Church of Latter-day Saints often deny that the penalties ever existed, which gaslights younger members who ask about them. That seems to be a lot of what happens, is like they don't trust the internet, so they ask older people, and the older people are like, no, that didn't happen. But all this stuff's real.
That's crazy.
And there's evidence of it. So, and the official church position of this pagan nonsense is that Smith restored ancient Abrahamic ceremony. And the reality seems to be that he plagiarized Freemasonry immediately after becoming a Freemason and made up the ancient origin story. The timing is very suspicious. He joined the Freemasons and then immediately introduced nearly identical ceremonies with different theological framing. Genius. How about polyandry? Ever heard of that? Joseph Smith married other men's wives. Smith didn't just practice polygamy, he practiced polyandry. He married at least 11 women who were already married to other men.
And they were cool with it?
These sealings happened while women remained married to and living with their first husbands. Smith sent men on missions and married their wives while they were gone. Sylvia Sessions Lyon, for example, is one woman that he polyandry. The justification for this is unclear, and the modern church downplays it very, very aggressively, as you can expect, because it seemed like he was really horny. That's what I think.
We do that in this cult. Oh, bruh, I'm good on all that. I'm not trying to fuck nobody that's getting fucked by somebody else. You know what I mean?
But that's not a very good theological perspective. This one's short.
I'm
kind
private
of funny.
with my whole.
Brigham Young put oil in people's butt. It was called anointing them with oil for healing. Brigham Young reportedly believed in and administered consecrated oil enemas for health purposes, aka he just wanted to dig in your butt, twin.
He was digging in your butt and pouring oil in there?
These are documented in historical records and were a combination of 19th century medical quackery and some strange religious ritual. They're not widely discussed for obvious reasons. It seems like to me maybe they just...
Well, I will say medical practices and doctors back then were questionable to say the least.
But who was into that? I'll heal you. Let me put my finger in your butt. How about the Oath of Vengeance? Part of the temple endowment ceremony from 1845 until the early 1930s was that participants swore an oath. The oath is as follows. You and each of you do covenant and promise that you will pray and never cease to pray to Almighty God to avenge the blood of the prophets upon this nation, and that you will teach the same to your children and to your children's children unto the third and fourth generation. the prophets are
Jesus.
Joseph
They were breeding hate.
and Hiram Smith, who were killed by a mob after censoring a newspaper. And every member who went through the temple between 1845 and the 1930s swore this oath. They vowed to pray and teach their descendants to pray for God's vengeance on America, the government of the United States of America, which had failed to protect them and prosecute their killers. And every member who went through the temple between 1845 and the 1930s swore this oath.
Jihad's a lot scarier because, like, they're saying there's glory in, like, killing, and even if you die and killing infidels, you know. And this one's like, oh, just pray for it. Don't do it! If it happens, it's not a big deal, but pray for it. The secret part out loud, yeah. It's a little tamer, but it's still kind of fucked up.
In which they vowed to pray and teach their descendants to pray for God's vengeance on America. That's incredible. For nearly 90 years, faithful Mormons were ritually binding themselves to perpetual prayers for divine retribution against the United States. This is like crazy.
Maybe the reason why the country is so fucked up because the Mormons, it finally worked.
Is this the Mormons or the Mujahideen? It's really easy to start to see and tie together where this sort of history of violence comes from. This climate is like, they're very extreme. The original fundamentalist Mormons were very extreme. Church President Heber J. Grant appointed a committee in 1919 to revise this endowment, and Apostle George F. Richards eliminated the oath of vengeance between 1921 and 1929, and this elimination of the...
He technically made this video 2 weeks ago, so you're just now saying this. He said this all 2 weeks ago, technically.
Oath of vengeance was formally implemented in the early 1930s and was ended. The church's official position now is that it was only a prayer for divine justice, not a call for personal vengeance. And
yeah, but like teachings like that is what leads to the offshoots of extremism. So like like what Turk was saying, like it's not, you know, jihad, but it's like basically saying like, you know, take it amongst yourself, you know, maybe the vengeance you're praying for is God's using it. I could see some stuff like that coming out of it.
Once again, critics note that's a convenient distinction to draw after removing it. The oath taught 3 generations of Mormons to view the United States of America and the government there as their enemy because of these dudes who were killed or whatever. How about their own alphabet?
Islam's even
Deseret
scarier.
alphabet. Brigham Young commissioned a furry artist in the 1850s to 1870s to develop an entirely new writing system to replace the English alphabet. It was called the Deseret alphabet, a 38-letter phonetic system designed to make reading and writing more efficient. The real purpose is that this was linguistic isolation. If Mormons used their own alphabet, they'd be harder for outsiders to influence, and children would learn the Deseret alphabet first, which would create a cognitive barrier to English materials. You know, if they don't speak the same language, they don't have to abide by the same rules and laws. And in certain cases, immigrant converts could completely bypass English. Young invested heavily in
There are a lot of, so recently I've been told that the Mormon church is, the reason why they're being so more accepting is because they've kind of plateaued, so now they're letting in so many more different minorities into the church. So there are the church is growing really fast again, apparently.
And the alphabet.
And they're sending people all over the world, bro. Like there are always Mormons in other countries doing missions.
That appeared on road signs throughout Utah Territory, territorial coins, headstones, official documents, and books, including the Book of Mormon that was published.
Remember on 90 Day Fiancé, there were 3 different Mormons that went on mission, met someone, and then brought them back on a 90-day visa, a 90-day fiancé visa. They were bringing, they were all Hispanic. I didn't think Mormons did mission trip. Oh, it's huge. Yeah, so basically every Mormon person, once they turn, what age is it? They have to go on a mission between a certain age. They have to do their Mormon mission to stay in the church, where they travel sometimes out of the country for months, and their only thing is to do is recruit people into the church. It's like their graduation ceremony. Oh yeah. And they're constantly going from door to door in Utah. They're flying from state to state. Some of them are doing their missions in Florida. They go to New York to do their missions. And some of them are doing states. Some of them are going to, they go all over, every single country, anywhere.
In the Deseret alphabet in 1869. This shit is crazy, dude. It failed spectacularly.
They probably do more missionary work than any other church.
Accurately, only 500 copies of the Deseret Book of Mormon sold at $2 each. Probably because Nobody spoke that shit, and it was dumb as fuck. It's an elder language. No, it's not. Members resisted learning the new writing system because they weren't as dumb as Brigham Young had thought. Also, the project was too expensive, and after Young died in 1877, the Deseret alphabet died with him, thank God. More cult stuff, gotta say. That's pretty culty. How about
Recruit no one. I don't think it's a naturally growing religion like some religions. You know what I mean? Because there is like an entry fee. Like to be a Mormon, you have even like the social Mormons. They have to go to church. They have to attend functions. They have to hold a certain status. They can't act a certain way. The stuff like that. So, like for example, like Christianity as it is, majority of the time, like you can come to church as come and go as you please. If you show up one Sunday a month, they're gonna love you and welcome you and treat you like one of the family, and still you're still saved and you're still just as good as everyone else in there. You're not no good or less. Yeah, and then you have to pay. And so like you're not gonna like walk in a Mormon church and it's gonna be like really intimidating, it's super clicky. So I don't think there's a natural way of growth and they have to kind of like seduce people in. Because I will say this, so like for example, if you join the Mormon church, and you're young and you're going through college, they offer tuitions for Mormon members. They'll pay for your college, but then you have to give something in return. You have to like work for them or something, or go to a Mormon college, or they'll pay for your rent, but then you have to go do a mission or you have to go do this. And so the church does help out and give out a lot of perks, but it's all in exchange for something.
mountain common law? Early Utah territory saw a pattern of
Like I'll say this, at the Mormon Welcome Center, it's so weird because everyone there is Mormon, but they're not white. They're all like they're like, yeah, I remember one told me they're like, yeah, they went to a mission in Venezuela, they met her. They said that they could get her to the United States, but she'd have to join the church and she'd have to work for the church for like 4 or 5 years to get her citizenship or something, and they were helping like sponsor her to immigrate.
extralegal killings justified as mountain
I bet they weren't paying her anything to work there, and it was like, oh, payment back for getting them over here and helping them with their papers and everything. Contracts of servitude, basically.
common law, or vigilante justice, which was supposedly...
Well, when you bring them in and you educate them through the Mormon education system, and then all their friends are the people in the Mormon area, they're working for the church, it's like you isolate them. You know what I'm saying?
appropriate for frontier conditions.
The only day my internet's not been good, no lags, no spikes. I'm just praying it stays that way.
Defense attorney George A. Smith famously invoked common mountain English and mountain common law in murder trials. In practice, it was a code for blood atonement and honor killings in Mormonism, and when someone committed adultery, seduction, apostasy, or other serious sins, vigilantes could kill them and claim mountain justice, and judges sometimes...
Mountain justice! Hell yeah, brother. Let's bring mountain justice back.
Acquitted based on this defense alone. One example could be Howard Egan, who killed James Monroe for allegedly seducing his wife. The defense was that mountain common law justified it, and Judge Zerubbabel Snow, never heard of that name in my whole life, rejected the argument, but juries often didn't. This was a phrase and legal cover for religiously motivated murders. You couldn't call it blood atonement
Some
in court
issues
because that
myself.
admits a religious motive, but you could call it mountain
What
common law.
Wi-Fi do you got?
And just frame that shit as frontier justice. Now we are so deep in the
Rubabel.
rabbit hole. This is
someone with that name?
conspiracy level stuff. The White Horse Prophecy, the disputed prophecy attributed to Joseph Smith, supposedly given May 6, 1843, and written down by Edwin Rushton, possibly even a decade later. It predicts that the U.S. Constitution will one day hang by a thread as fine as a silk fiber and be on the verge of destruction. And at that critical moment, Mormons, represented as the White Horse, will ride in and save it. The prophecy implies Mormons...
I mean, shit, Mitt Romney might run again. Who knows?
Mormons will establish a theocratic government and essentially
You know
take
they're
control
playing
of
for
America
sure
to
that,
rescue
my.
it from collapse. The original version was much more explicit. It supposedly predicted economic collapse, civil unrest, and a possible civil war, a constitution under threat, Mormons as the elders of Israel.
Dude, what if we're all tripping and Mormons are right? Because this stuff actually makes sense. I like how the one that's like the most conspiracy theory is like the only one that has any kind of like merit, because like our country is a fucking sham right now and shit's blowing up. Don't like him now. It's all happening now. I don't really know anything about Mitt Romney other than he's like a crazy Mormon out here.
Still saving the nation.
He has a restaurant out here and a car dealership.
And establishment of the kingdom of God on earth with Mormon leadership. It's very, very, very much, you know, I'm the hero of my own movie type thing. In 1918, Joseph F. Smith, the church president and nephew of Joseph Smith, called the White Horse prophecy ridiculous, and the church officially disavows it, saying it's based on
Imagine, I don't remember what car this was, but imagine it's like, Mitt Romney Toyota. Come down to Mitt Romney Toyota today to get 2,000 off.
accounts that have not been substantiated by historical research and is not embraced as
Mitt
church
Romney
doctrine, but
Toyota,
it is
Utah.
pretty wild. And belief persists deeply.
Those car sales, those car dealership commercials back in the day were so lit. Push me to libertism. I remember there's this one the whole time I grew up in. It was like, come on down to Tommy's Ford Valdez, and they would say, and come get yourself a new Toyota today in Valdez, and they'd always say Valdez, which is like I was born in Valdez Hospital as like the still too well, dude. It's did we all see those commercials from like our hometowns growing up?
In some aspects of Mormon
Ron Paul,
culture, especially among more
so
conservative
funny.
members or fundamentalists. It seems that some Mormons today genuinely believe that they are destined to save America from itself, but I don't know if that's actually true, but you could point to political polarization, economic instability, and social unrest as signs of this White Horse prophecy.
Oh, this was what it was. It was, come get your new Ford at Paramount Valdez. It was Paramount Valdez. The Springfield fireworks.
They prepare
Springfield's in Ohio, like the Springfield, like where the gun was made.
Food storage, guns, and survival gear, and wait for the moment in which God will call them to establish the new government, the new theocratic government, where they're probably going to kill me, to be honest. Church leaders distance themselves publicly because it sounds crazy and hurts genuine, actual good missionary work, but they don't forcefully condemn members who believe it. Because the
crazy thing is, obviously I was a kid when that commercial was on, and I didn't get my first 2 cars from there, but my 3rd car, my Camaro, before I got this Jeep, I actually got from Paramount Valdez. Believe it or not. Love a good jingle. Years and years later, after hearing that jingle, I actually somehow wound up at Paramount Valdez, and that's where I traded my old Jeep and got my Camaro. Bam!
Prophecy aligns fairly well with other more formal and officially accepted Mormon doctrines about establishing.
Yeah, it was a coincidence, and I was looking for a new car, and it's a dealership near my house, so I was looking at the dealerships, and they had the Camaro I wanted. And I'm actually pretty sure I was looking at Camaros online, and I actually found it on there, and I was like, where is it? And it was at that one. No, Springfield. Oh, okay.
Zion, building the kingdom of God, and eventually governing the world during the millennium. That's the official Mormon belief. So if a significant percentage of Mormons believe they're prophesized to take over the U.S. government in a moment of crisis, what happens when they perceive that crisis?
Oh, just learning about Mormons to understand my neighbors better.
Has arrived. I really don't know, dude. But hopefully I'm on
that. My neighbor's a legitimate Mormon. He's like he's younger than me, but not like, it's like at least probably 22, 23. And he walks out in like the dress pants and the white dress shirt and the little thing in his pocket.
Side. That's all I can see, because they're scary, and Mormon folk are scary as shit up there. Come on now. This is a more fun, classic one. Becoming gods and the planet Kolob, which is very close to my name. Mormon theology teaches eternal progression, the idea that humans can become gods. Lorenzo Snow, the 5th church president, famously summarized it as follows. As a man now is, God once was. As God now is, man may be. So God the Father was once a mortal man like you. He lived on another planet, died, was resurrected, achieved exaltation, and became God of...
But then how did he... That goes against the creation story. The first story we read in the Bible. What? They changed everything! Nah, bro. They legit changed everything. It was like, hey, you believe in Jesus? You won't believe what he told me about everything. To create everything makes no sense. I make them zombies are coming. It's kind of crazy they have all this history, and nowadays they just deny it. They just like deny it.
This universe. He has a physical body. He lives near a star or planet called Kolob with his goddess wives, plural, because God practices polygamy. And if you were a...
Of course he does. He's a G.
Faithful Mormon who receives temple endowment, maintains worthiness, and achieves exaltation to the highest degree of the celestial kingdom, you can also get your own shit. You can become a god. You get your own planet or universe. Your wife becomes a goddess, though she is still subordinate to you. And together, you and your goddess subordinate wife can create spirit children for eternity. Billions upon billions of souls who will populate your world and worship you as their god. That sounds like an easy sell to a lot of people. Those spirit children are sent to your planet to receive bodies, be tested in mortality, and progress towards their own godhood.
Vamp, you have scoliosis, a stinky gamer chair, and a gambling problem.
The cycle continues on for
that works. Vamp.
forever. That's the explanation. It's kind of an awesome explanation, like science fiction wise.
Hey, just saying, bro. I mean, if you are God, that would kind of suck. To grow up on that planet. That's mean. Well, I don't know. I'm just like thinking about it. Like, you can't claim you're a God and not expect me to think about those things. Like, I want to be this. I'd be like, when I think of God and Jesus, they'd be walking on water, like flying to heaven, bringing people up in chariots and shit. Like, sometimes you'd be picking your nose. So it's like, I'm just trying to picture you that way.
But so God creates spirit children who become mortals and who become gods, and that creates more spirit children. Kolob appears in the infamous Book of Abraham.
I used to have my screensaver in high school was a picture of Jesus dunking on Satan. Gotta have a clear airway. I can drink the ocean, I guess.
And it's described as the star.
Jesus turned water into wine, walked on water, and you're like, I can drink out of the ocean. A miracle.
/ planet nearest to God's throne, where time operates differently, and one Kolob day equals 1,000 Earth years. And some interpretations suggest Kolob is where God lives, and others say it's just the star nearest his planet where he lives. The current church position is to downplay this doctrine publicly, which is their position for a lot of things. And
bro, you want to know something weird? When I was in Jersey with Jason, bro, he would go under the water in the ocean with his eyes open. It burns my eyes just to think about it. Oh, he's legit a fucking psycho. Oh, that actually hurts my eyes to think about. The bendy straw, ouch. Like, it's literally making my eyes water just to think about, bro. Like, I'm literally starting to cry.
Romney ran for president, church representatives told media that this isn't emphasized, but it's still in their scripture.
Bro, you've been to the ocean, Sammy? I didn't know that you guys had an ocean.
Doctrine and Covenants 132.
Jeff the Shark, no, especially with his little mohawk.
In the Book of Abraham. Still taught in temples and still core Mormon theology. Now, if you read comments on any kind of Mormon video on YouTube or Reels or TikTok, you'll see that Mormons are like, this is bullshit. But it's not. I mean, it is. But it's like, it's not though. So there's an infinite regress of gods. God is a God who has a God going back forever and forever forward, and you become a God and your children become gods and their children become gods, all creating and populating infinite universes of spirit children and gods and goddesses and subordinate women. Now this is
subordinate women.
This is nothing like traditional Christian theology. Mormons say,
I'm not gonna lie, I was totally against it until I heard that.
They only worship one God, the God of this universe, and the fact that he's not the ultimate supreme being doesn't change
those words
their
in the
worship.
book.
But South Park has an episode,
dude, my eyes are still burning.
The Mormon episode, where they pretty much pinned the tail on the donkey for this one, guys. It was pretty epic. How about the 3 Nephites and Immortal John, a Mormon superhero of epic Mormon folklore? The Book of Mormon describes 3 Nephite disciples granted immortality
they have a Mormon superhero?
By Christ around
Literally.
34 AD. They're still wandering the earth, doing good deeds, waiting for the second coming, and they're basically Mormon superheroes. They appear in moments of crisis and then vanish. Mormons love telling stories about these fellas. Guy runs out of gas on a desert highway. Mysterious old man appears with a gas can and then disappears before being thanked. Woman about to be robbed, strange figure intervenes, attacker runs away, figure vanishes. Car breaks down in a blizzard, family rescued by 3 men who fix it, then refuse payment and walk into the storm. No tracks left in the snow. Mormon superhero. It's Mormon urban legend culture. The stories always follow the same pattern. The crisis, mysterious helper, disappearance, and then realization it must have been one of the 3 Nephites. That's what the mysterious stranger in Fallout is. It's actually Mormon folklore. They also believe that the Apostle John from the Bible never died.
The Apostle John had drip, bro. Look at John right there. Look at that rock star hair, dude. Who knew John was so drippy, bro? That face card.
Died, and that Jesus granted him immortality.
A chalice. Yeah, he was
4
pimping.
immortal guys wandering around helping Mormons change tires and jumpstart their dead batteries. Now the church doesn't.
Okay, where's the fucking 3 Nephites when I need to get my fucking car fixed, when the oil's leaking out of it?
Officially encourage these stories, but also doesn't
some
discourage
shades.
them because they're a good bit of Mormon fun. How
And
about a
blunt.
little mini LDS NSA stuff? Internal church surveillance departments monitor members' writings, speeches, teachings, and social media, and they create files on apostates, members, intellectuals, feminists, and LGBTQ plus advocates. This surveillance and gathering of data has led to disciplinary
believe
councils and excommunications of historians, scholars, and feminist leaders from Mormonism. This operates in secrecy
On me after
and
tonight.
is completely 100% Orwellian. People are always so afraid of the CIA and the NSA and all that shit, but like, there hasn't been any council shit from the NSA. Mormons are doing that to their own people, like actively. And this office is called the Strengthening Church Members
Pass it
Committee,
over,
and it's
please. You want to hit?
officially referred to as a research department. And critics, they just say it is exactly what it is, which is a surveillance group that spies on church members, and the church doesn't really say much about it. We've talked about Mormon fundamentalism and the dark sides of it, and there's another example of this with the story of Elizabeth Smart. On June 5th, 2002, 14-year-old Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped from her bedroom in Salt Lake City by Brian David Mitchell, a homeless street preacher and self-proclaimed prophet. Mitchell had previously been hired by the Smart.
And there are so many cults and cult leaders who either were born and lived in Utah, grew up Mormon, or came and spent significant amount of times in Utah and leave with these crazy ideas of grandeur. Is that what happened to me with the Party Never Ends tour, chat? I fucking came to Utah and the fucking whatever they put in the water got to me. And I was like, we're going on tour! Fuck it! I've done one show, who cares? They're getting to you. It's in the water.
Family to do handyman work at their home, and he knew the layout. And Mitchell was born into a mainstream LDS family and later developed.
I remember when I was playing this tour, they're like, who's going to sponsor? Who's going to pay for it? I'm like, we are! We're going to pay for it! It's sponsored by the cynicalul and Concrete Coffee.
Extreme religious views influenced by fundamentalist Mormon groups that embraced plural marriage. He'd been excommunicated.
I'm waiting on Drake Associates of Law, or whatever the official name is, to cut me that check for that official sponsorship. I'm trying to put the logo on our shirts, on stream logos, trying to get a little DJ Sin 15% at checkout code. I'm working on it.
From the LDS Church, and in November of 2000, he claimed to receive a revelation that he was the prophet Emmanuel.
And Jackson.
And that God commanded.
Dude, Drake and Jackson Associates at Law. I'm gonna have to run it by
him to restore polygamy. He also wrote his own scripture, the book of Emmanuel, David, Isaiah, claiming that God commanded him to take 7 wives between ages 10 and 14. And the document explicitly referenced Mormon scriptures and Joseph Smith's teachings about plural marriage. Mitchell broke into the Smart home with a knife, held it to Elizabeth's throat, and forced her to leave with him. And he took her to a camp in the mountains where he married her. And
then I do a corporate takeover and it becomes Jackson.
In a bizarre fundamentalist ceremony. Elizabeth had to endure 9 months of captivity where she was countless times. And Mitchell controlled her through religious manipulation, telling her that God wanted this and that she was fulfilling a prophecy, that she was now impure and her family wouldn't want her back. And he and his wife, Wanda Barzee, took Elizabeth in public, sometimes even in disguise, in plain sight. People saw her but didn't recognize her, or they chose not to intervene. Then March 12, 2003, Elizabeth was rescued in Sandy, Utah after being recognized on the street. Mitchell's defense claimed that he was mentally ill and incompetent to stand trial, and after years of delays and evaluations, he was deemed competent in 2010 and convicted in 2011 of kidnapping and sexual assault. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole, and he did all of this through the justification of Mormon fundamentalism. Speaking more about fundamentalism, there is plenty of fundamentalist groups in the United States and other countries where blood atonement is still something that's practiced. We have no idea
that's so messed up.
How many murders have been, or honor killings have been unreported or committed under the blood atonement belief. Just, we have no idea about it. Fundamentalism of all kinds when it comes to an ancient religion, even one as new as Mormonism, is scary. This is an event that I did not know about at all and is a result of most man-made institutions where people have control over children. This is not specific just to Mormonism. The Catholic Church has had, the Boy Scouts have had their own problems. The United States government rich people, that island and shit. This is a real
I think that like a lot of these problems that like are in religion or in companies or on social media, they exist everywhere and every little niche community, micro community in real life, off the internet, on the internet. It exists, but just because certain places like religion and other places are held to such a higher standard, obviously we don't want it anywhere. It's bad, evil, regardless, and stuff like that. It is like because like church is supposed to be like the safe place, you know. So obviously, it's held to a higher standard when it comes to like your safety.
problem with humanity in general. So this is obviously not a Mormon specific thing, but in August of 22, the Associated Press published an explosive investigation revealing the Mormon Church's helpline system that enabled cover-ups of child sexual exploitation and abuse for decades. The system was when bishops, which were lay leaders, learn of abuse, they're instructed to call a church helpline, which is staffed by church attorneys. The attorneys often invoke clergy and penitent privilege and advise bishops not to report abuse to law enforcement, even in—
Dude, that's what they literally tried to do at the church me and my family went to, and that's why me, my mom, and my dad, and like the rest of my like immediate family left that church, was because my mom saw a crime. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna report this to the police," and they're like, "No, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. We're gonna handle it. We're gonna handle it. We're gonna handle it. We're gonna talk to them. We're gonna give them spiritual guidance or something." And my mom reported it to the police, and the church covered for them. They got away with it, and we left. And they literally, like, my mom reported it anyways, even though they told her not to, and they started treating my mom and dad like shit. A little later on, I got kicked out of the private school, which I was doing stuff to get kicked out of the private school regardless. There was a lot of things adding up. I didn't want to be there already before that. I was just, 17, 18. I wanted to go to public school, and like there was 20 kids in my whole school and no girls around my age. So I just my motivation back then, 16, 17 years old was just like, I want to go talk to girls in real high school. You know what I mean? I want to go play sports and be a normal kid.
states with mandatory reporting laws. This is very similar to what happened to Catholicism in the 20th century. Then an Arizona case broke it open. A father in Bisbee, Arizona confessed to his bishop in 2011
Was the
that
right
he'd
call. We weren't kicked out of the church, but like people weren't talking to us, and I was kicked out of school like for a separate reason, but I feel like I probably wouldn't have been if my mom and dad knew that they would let us stay and try to fix me, I guess.
sexually abusing his young daughter, and the bishop called the helpline. Church attorneys told him he didn't have to report it, and the abuse continued for
I think after that happened, I think we stayed around that church like a month. I think we went to like church like 2 more times in that month, and my mom and dad were like really confused and like trying to figure it out. And, like a lot of like when it comes to like religious things like that, and we had family in that church and lifelong friends and family and churchgoers, so it was hard to decide what to do. But the conversion
7
camp
more years.
in Korea, or
Eventually
was that
including
in
a
the
second
US?
daughter born during this period. When the abuse finally came to light in 2017, the father was arrested and the daughter's mother sued the church. Sealed court documents were obtained by the Associated
California.
Press that showed the
And you
church—
know something crazy? So the guy who actually did the action, responsible for the action, there's a camp called Nasoka that the church owned, and they would send us there during the summer, and it was like a work camp. Like we'd have fun and do stuff, but then they would put us to work too, and like we like feed horses, cut wood, like paint buildings, like clear brush. But then we'd have like it was a weird fucking camp. Anyways, the guy who actually committed the act of the unspeakable act that I brought up, my parents were calling police over. Like 2 or 3 years later, he was actually riding a four-wheeler down to that camp because he was, adult, so he worked for the camp as like counselor, coordinator, handyman, whatever. And he was riding the four-wheeler and he actually wrecked it, and he didn't die, but he got so hurt, like he'll never be the same. Like he can't walk the same, can't move, he can't talk the same. Like he gave him like permanently like severe body damage. Shit.
had destroyed records of helpline calls to ensure confidentiality
Karma.
and claimed attorney-client privilege for all abuse reports, which is definitely up. I know I belittled all this as not a big— this is a human problem though. This isn't just specifically Mormonism. This is a gigantic issue. These institutions make it way easier.
Walk away
Nearly
from your
12
belief. For me personally, just like a lot of hypocrisy. And I didn't really walk away from believing in, God and religion and things like that. When I left the church, it's more because like just being a kid in the Jewish church, and I was growing up half in, half out because my dad wasn't Jewish, and so I had like two sides of me. And so like that side taught me that being competitive, sports, video games, watching YouTube videos, listening to Pierce the Veil is bad, and dressing like this, and wanting tattoos, and taking time in your hair was all bad. Like they're teaching me everything I was interested in, everything like all my personal interests, my whole personality were telling me was evil. Like I was just in the way of the world. And so like I wanted to get away from that so I could just be a human and play video games and goof off and get in trouble. I was a 15-year-old kid. And when I got into college and I took, like I said, I took a philosophy class, and then I just learned more and more and more. And I think that's when I stopped believing. I stopped being spiritual myself personally, was when I was in college. And yeah, and that honestly, the philosophy class was one of my favorite classes ever. It really was amazing, and it was just the study of not philosophy. I think philosophy class was good. I took a religious studies class. That's what I'm thinking of. Philosophy was fun too. So like for me in school, like I really liked history because I'm interested in history. I liked philosophy, and I liked religion study. Like math, I hated it. I sucked at it. Science, same thing. Like terrible at science. I would like more things that could have like drama around it, because like philosophy, there's drama around it, story, lore, blah blah blah. Same thing with religion, same thing with history. But then like science, math, it's like that's it. Why? You don't need to know why, you just need to know it so you can pass the test and move on with your life. So I was just like never interested. English had me here and there, depends on what subject, what we were studying. Some things in English class I really got into. And some things I was like, I couldn't. Like I remember when I was like 14 or 15, we read Lord of the Flies, and I thought that was awesome. I just thought like the concept of a bunch of kids being on an island, like the descent they fell into, the chaos was interesting. But then some other books and stuff we went over, and I was just like, yeah, dude, I did the same thing, bro. I did the same thing. I literally took pre-algebra, algebra, and personal finance for my 3 math credits. And then for my 3 science credits, I took biology, physical science, and what's the other one you have to take? It's like a necessary one, chemistry. It's been so long since I've been in high school. It was like the other necessary one you had to take. And that was it. But I had a gym, I had a PE, some sort of PE physical fitness class every single semester.
1,000 pages of documents revealed the helpline is basically designed to divert those accusations
Yeah,
away from
my senior year of high school, I did no math.
law enforcement and towards church attorneys who
Skip
can bury
chem.
them. So
At my school, we had to have 3 science credits, 3 math credits to pass.
victims are left in harm's way while the church just protects itself from liability and scandal. The church's response accused AP of oversimplified and incomplete reporting, claiming the helpline protects
Read
victims,
that book too, great book.
the documents that we have.
To Kill a Mockingbird was also another book I got into when I was in high school, but then we read this one book. What was it called? Like another really popular book in high school. Fun for me. Like I said, some people can get into science and math. I have really bad ADHD, so if I don't have like a connection or a passion or an interest, or it doesn't click in my brain, I have a hard time putting my energy and effort into it. If you wanted it, that's lucky for you, bro. Or good books. The AP version. The only AP classes I did in high school was AP history. I took yeah. Catcher in the Rye. I took some honors classes. I took honors English, something else honors, honors Spanish, and then I did AP history. But other than that, it's just all like basic. Was asked one and done. Pure cinema. Extra English class, bro. And a crazy thing about my history classes I was in, sometimes I'd raise my hand and I would just know things before he would even teach them or talk about them or whatever. Because not only did I really like history, I'd watch like a lot of like documentaries about history and looked into it and read some books. My dad's a super big history buff too, so we had to like just me and my dad will sometimes, especially when we're together, we'll sit down, we'll just talk about like we'll just discuss World War II, or we'll just discuss just the most random historical topic and just talk about it and share info that we've learned or we've seen with each other. It's like that about anything, honestly. You go from anywhere from being from an anime to intellectual topic, a toy, it could be anything. Figure this out. What do you mean? I love doing that. I was such a hippie in high school. See, my problem with high school was just didn't fit in. Like I enjoyed sports, I did good in school, but I just had no friends and everyone fucking hated me because I'd wear like band t-shirts, skinny jeans and Vans, and I'd wear my little black short shorts and a band tee and a pair of Vans and like people are just fucking dicks. Same paths. I've told people this before, and I think that a lot of us are like this in this community. We're all so different. Like I can't even tell you guys. Like every one of you guys are so individual. I've learned so much about each one of your guys' personalities, what you guys makes you guys tick, what you guys think is funny, what annoys you. Like I know all your guys' buttons, in just the way you guys know mine. But I think in a way, the reason why this community is so strong is like in a video game, when you make a character, you all start in the same spot. You all spawn in the same spot, same stats, same armor. But along the journey through the video game, you go on different quests, you get different gear, you put your stuff in different stats and stuff like that. And that's life. Like I experienced different things through relationships than you did in school. But I think in a way, like where we started before the world collapsed on us and people damaged us and we learned things, went through different experiences. I think a lot of these people in this community, like on a base level, are very similar on like their basic human nature, if that makes sense. Obviously, we grew up in different families, different areas, went down different paths, which changed us and made us all unique individuals.
Tell a different story. Since then, multiple state legislatures have
That
introduced
analogy.
bills to eliminate clergy penitent privilege exemptions for child abuse, and the Mormon Church has still actively lobbied against them, which
Spanish,
is, you know,
yeah,
trying to be as
over in other countries they put more emphasis on learning other languages.
biased as possible, but still, that's very f***ed up. Have you ever heard of the November 2015 policy? A new policy was leaked declaring same-sex married couples as apostates subject to church discipline. Their children were banned from baptism, baby blessings, and church membership until age 18, and only then if they disavow their parents' relationships and move out. The policy is insane and devastating. It punishes children.
You'd have to disavow and cut off your gay parents to join the Mormon Church. How bad you can be Mormon? You cut off your two dads or two moms. One more Spanish. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would say I liked Spanish and I was able to do honors Spanish because from the time I was 10 years old, I was dating a Latina. So I just picked up on a lot and understood a lot of like the things. I mean, I still had a lot to learn, a lot of technical stuff and you know, ABCD, but
children for their parents, relationships, and
more
LGBTQ
Spanish
members.
than
As
the
a result of
average
this, a lot of people resigned their
person from Burke
memberships
County,
and
where I grew
protest,
up.
and suicide rates even spiked during that
Like, I
time.
don't think I was actually good at Spanish now I think about it. I just think that there were so many hillbillies and like rednecks in my class who wouldn't even try. They'd just be like, "Como se dice what?" I'm just like, bro, just try. Like, try to pronounce it. Try to learn. They're like, "Oh, law's all I need to know. Donde está el baño?" Like, they just goof off, and like I would actually try to learn and like put a little bit of effort in and stuff like that. And like I actually try to pronounce things correctly. So I think that's why like my teacher liked me and I did a little better in that class because everyone else just was like a fucking idiot.
Time as well,
Growing up.
reportedly. Church President Russell M. Nelson.
Dude, oh my god. I still know her to this day. I still know this girl to this day. God bless her. I have no problems with her now, but bro, me and this girl almost fought in Spanish class. Her name was Armana. And oh my god, every time it was her turn to teach her to pronounce something. And my Spanish teacher, Miss Ponce, God bless her, she was stubborn as fuck. So she'd be like, "All right, Armana, now try to say this, like, ¿Cómo se dice?" And she'd go, "¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice?" And she'd be like, "Come on, Homa," and she'd be like, like on purpose, just to be an annoying. And we'd sit there for like 20 minutes of class, just dealing with this girl who just did not want to even try to learn Spanish or even attempt to make an effort. I remember one time in class, I was like, "Bro, just try. Like, just put forth effort." And I remember she's trying. I was like, "I am trying," blah, blah, blah. Started yelling at me. I'm just like, "Never mind. Shouldn't say anything. I just got my own business." Make time go by so slowly. Oh, I know. And there would be so much tension because you could tell because she'd have this smart ass look on her face and she could tell she was giving the teacher sass. And the teacher was like, we'll sit here all day until you try and put forth an effort. And everyone else was just like, "Oh."
Nelson, who was the apostle at that
Will
time,
do.
went on record defending the
Exactly the
policy as
same.
a
I hate
revelation
that.
from
Me too.
God. He said it was given with a lot of pain and with a lot of prayer, and was intended to
But no,
protect
after
children
we
from being
got that
torn
class
between
together, we
church
became
teachings
friends.
and their
So
parents. So, pretty epic. April 4th, 2019, the church reversed their policy 41 months after implementing it. Then, the same church president at the time
brings me
announced that the
back
reversal was another
a
revelation
vacation these days. Not for me, bro. I fucking hated school. I hated school.
from God. So the same leader who defended the policy as revelation now defends the reversing as revelation. I don't know, dude. God's
No,
watching
I
up
hated
there.
school too. I'd rather go back to working in the factory job I used to have, which was my least favorite job, just because it was such like breaking labor, and I'd be so dirty and tired and sweaty from working in a warehouse. I would rather do that than go back and like have to experience school again. I hated school that much.
A couple years went by, he changed his mind. All right, them
The
gays,
TV
they added that
station,
plus to the end. Okay,
and
that's different now. Come on.
see, that's what Jim surprised me when people were like, "Dude, high school was the best time of my life. It was so much fun. We did so much shit." I'm just like, "Bro, what?" They're like, "Yeah, being an adult sucks, man. To go back to high school for a day." I'm just like, "Dude, fuck that."
He's learning just like us. We are officially at the very bottom of the rabbit hole, okay, guys? And the CIA has an overrepresentation of
Pretty good.
Mormons, and this is
I think you can. Like, I don't wish the experience I had on anyone. Like, I hope you guys enjoy every time period of your life. But for me, fuck no. Maybe if I went to a different high school.
very real. The
Small.
intelligence pipeline has a disproportionate number of Mormons in the CIA, the FBI, and intelligence agencies.
Alright,
It's
plan
not a
on doing
conspiracy theory. This
cosmetology.
is real.
That's
It's
sick.
documented. The CIA
Graduating
actively
class.
recruits.
Yeah, mine was about 100. So I had 400 people in the whole school, and our freshman class was 100 graduating. My senior class, but when we came as freshmen, our freshman class when we came in, like this was like the biggest class the school had ever seen, and I was like, really? Because like I'd go to other high schools to play games and see how big their stadiums and their students were. And I was like, this is the most students we've ever had. 400 people. Small class sizes. Like I said, the school next to me had 1,200 kids at it. But just where I lived and like how they cut off. And the crazy thing is the schools were basically the same distance from me. But just how like the zoning in the county works, where my address was, I ended up going to the other school.
From BYU, as they do from many other universities, but
Wow.
foreign language skills from missions are a massive plus
From
point
8th grade
for
to
Mormons.
seniors.
2 years
That's
abroad,
crazy.
often in hostile countries, learning
150 people. I mean, our soccer team didn't have a JV team. Like a lot of our sports team didn't have JV teams. The only ones that did was football and basketball. The girls teams did, I think. I'm pretty sure. But like a lot of the boys, we didn't have enough people for JV teams.
difficult languages, obedience to authority without question, clean-cut image, no drug history, strong family values, patriotism baked into
school-
theology. They are ideal intelligence operative traits. Bootlickers. But it does create an interesting dynamic. You get a religious group with
I think Drake was the only one to go into my hometown. But like, so the town we did my first show in January last year was, or this year, but whatever. Wasn't technically my hometown. It was just the biggest city outside of my hometown. Because I looked at my hometown and there wasn't a single music venue there to even. There's one bar in my hometown. And so there was like nowhere for me to even do. So that's why we had to do Hickory, which was about like 15 minutes, 20 minutes down the road. But Drake saw it. It's all just like a little tiny town, Dollar General, little church, a bunch of little trailers sprawled out, bunch of churches everywhere. You're there from the boonies. Yeah, not shit out there.
theocratic political ambitions, the White Horse Prophecy, Council of 50 History, the Theodemocracy Doctrine, etc.
And the thing was, I drove off the mountain. Like, if you guys, like I said, next time we're all in North Carolina together, I'll take you guys all there. Anybody wants to come, I'll take you up to my family house where I grew up. And I'll show it to you. You'll see it, like, I promise you, I grew up more rural than, like, I didn't even have a home address. Like, the road going to my house, we have a post office box back home. They don't put internet up on the mountain because there's no cables or wires running up there. There's no plumbing because the city doesn't run fire up there. We had to take all our own garbage off because the city doesn't go out there. So my family just now got decent internet. They got Starlink in their area, so now they have Starlink, and my dad actually says it works pretty good. I was like, well, back again.
When these people are overrepresented in
Hickory's
agencies
chill.
that collect intelligence, conduct covert operations, and influence global policy, It's kind of scary. It's kind of like being infiltrated. All right, guys.
It's just
I
like
feel this is a
it's just like a town that's stuck. Like Hickory's a decent sized town, but it's okay. But it's just there's nothing going on there. It's not getting any better, and it's just slowly getting worse. Type town. You know what I mean? It's like a slowly dying city. A beer one day. I don't know if our dads would get along. Your dad curses a lot, and my dad does not like cursing. And dad doesn't like gambling either. Or smoking. Really? Yeah. No, my dad's really, really wholesome. You know what I mean?
result of meritocracy, I would say, intelligence agencies recruiting from populations that align with what they
You were
want.
switched at birth. No, you're evil as fuck. You're way worse than me. The fuck? Bro, I am a saint compared to you. Don't even go there. Which is sad because I have some years on you, so I've had more time to be a little fuckhead. Someday, maybe in the future, am I evil? Brother.
Mormons happen to fit the propot.
A blonde girl just asked me how she's evil, chat. Ah, can't make it up anymore.
The profile on average, so you know it does make sense. And I'd like to believe their oaths to the United States of America take precedence to their oaths to the thousands of Mormon gods, or whatever, Joseph Smith and all that stuff.
Got my hair back
So
brown
hopefully
now.
Mormon intelligence officers report to the people they're supposed to report to, not church leadership. How about them gold plates again? Joseph Smith claimed.
All right, this video has 5 minutes left. I keep pausing it. Let's bust out these last 5 minutes.
2/3 of the gold plates were sealed and never translated, and they supposedly contain final revelations too sacred for the current world.
This video is barely an hour, and we spent over 2 hours almost talking because we just got on so many side tangents and side quests.
Various people have
I love
claimed
the
to
yap,
translate the
for
sealed
real.
portions, and multiple books have published claiming
me
to
today,
be
too.
the sealed
She
portion.
needs some money, bro.
Most-
Rinse due.
Most famously, the
But we
sealed
do, good
portion.
times. Yeah, and that's my favorite thing. So I'm just saying, I just want to finish this video because at this point we're all pretty like, Mormons are crazy motherfuckers back in the day. Cool lore.
The Final Testament of Jesus Christ by Christopher Nemelka. The LDS Church rejects all of these, but that creates an ongoing mystery. What was supposedly sealed in the other portion of the
Go
plates,
more
and why weren't they
blonde.
translated? Joseph Smith. We could ask him, but he was killed by a mob. How about the Lost 10 Tribes?
My tattoo artist in North County, he'd always hit me up. He's like, bro, I'll get you a killer deal on my tattoo. And when I would get there, he'd like, bro, I fucking appreciate you taking this and on such short notice and getting in here. He's like, man, I got rent due, or man, I just lost $500 last night gambling. I'd be like, yeah, I knew it when you hit me up. When you hit me up first to get a tattoo, I know you need some money for something. I never went to homecoming before.
Of space. Some
I didn't even think freshmen were allowed to go to homecoming. Are they? Or is that prom?
Mormons believe that the lost 10 tribes of Israel are in space. Not metaphorically, but actually in space. Mormons
What up,
love
Jason?
space. The theory is that when Assyrians conquered
Oh,
Israel
no.
in
Okay.
722 BC, 10 tribes disappeared. Where did they go? According to some Mormon interpretations, God transported them to another planet or dimension. They were living.
Oh my god, I just forgot this. This is why my school is the worst. So my senior year, one of the kids in our class, he wanted to be a country music singer. And everyone thought he was gonna be a famous country music singer from our school. And everyone, he was like the most popular guy at our school. Spoiler alert, he's not a famous country singer, and he actually went to jail for beating his girlfriend later on. We'll get to that later on. Anyways, he was like the coolest guy in school. His name was Corey Britton, super southern, played baseball, and he played guitar, and he would sing country music. And I always even thought for country music, I always thought it was shit. I always thought it sucked. And I'm not country music, I'm saying him. Like, even like not being the biggest country fan, I just thought he just didn't have a good voice for country. And I remember my prom, they're playing, you know, whoa, baby, get in there. And they're like, all right, guys, you guys having a good prom? Jimmy C. John High School? Okay, now we got Corey Britton performing his new country love song. And he got up there and performed a fucking country love song at my prom. And everyone was just standing there like, and I was like, bro, why are we doing this? Like, who the fuck allowed this guy to do this?
There right now.
And like the audio was shit. Like his guitar wasn't hooked up to like he had a microphone for his voice, but he's just playing guitar, just nothing. Like just playing acoustic guitars. Like, and we're in our gymnasium, and there's a bunch of people, and like, it sucked. Pull the plug, literally. Oh, hell nah. He was basketball coach's son. That's crazy. This Corey had an E.
Waiting to return at the second coming.
And I remember, I think my sophomore year of high school, like I said, he was the same age as me, but he's a lot bigger than me too in high school. So, and like I said, he was like the baseball player jock, the coolest kid. I remember, when I first transferred in, this freshman year, I went to a different high school, and my sophomore year, I went to high school, I went to the first at the time. So my sophomore year, I had transferred in, and like all the dudes immediately fucking hated me because I was like a pretty boy, new guy, and you know how the new kid syndrome is. All the dudes shut on the new kid like the first couple weeks, and I remember I was sitting in the science class, and it wasn't like desks; it was like tables, and each table had 3 people sitting on one side. So it was like a long table, and the teacher was in the front. And so, like, you'd sit next to 2 people, or if you were in the middle, and like it was just like one big table, and then there'd be people on the other side, and like they'd be like looking over their shoulder. You guys know what kind of classroom setup I'm talking about? Good night, Jason. Fucking love you, bro. Thank you so much for the premium spin today, bro. You are a goat. And I sat next to his girlfriend. I didn't even know. It was literally the only fucking seat available and shit. And I remember like the next day I was like in the bathroom, and he came like grabbed my shirt, like pushed me up against the bathroom wall, and he was like, "Why did so and so tell me you went and out of all the seats sat down right next to my girlfriend in your science class?" And I was like, what is it's the only seat? Who are you? I was like, who the fuck are you? What a dick. Yeah, he like threatened me. He didn't hit me or anything, but he like fucking threatened me. I was like, dude, it's the only fucking seat in there. But it's meeps.
Of Christ, I guess. But there's also an alternate version.
Or
They're beneath the North Pole in the hollow earth. It all comes full circle. I'm serious.
And it was more of his girlfriend's fault, because then like he kept on like beefing with me, bro. He never liked me all in my senior year. And I just kind of, I wasn't about drama, so I would just like whatever and just walk away. Like I wasn't like fight or anything crazy. Oh, I remember his name, bro. He was my biggest bully. And he hated me, bro, because his girlfriend Marie loved me. She would like low-key flirt with me, and she was so sweet and cute. And like I remember she followed me on social media, and like she fucking did this to me, bro. I'm telling you, it was her fault. To beat a dead horse. Bro, I'm like trauma dumping about how, like someone who like physically harmed me, called me the FAGGOT slur every single day of school, fucking spread rumors about me sucking dick in the stalls, caused closeted gay guys to hit me up to ask me to suck their dicks, spread tons of rumors about me, made everyone in my fucking school hate me. Bro, this guy played an instrumental part in my life in a way.
The whole subset of Mormon folklore about the earth being hollow with the lost tribes living inside, access.
What was his name? Because then after that, I went to that school. Like I said, I wanted to go to private school, transfer in that school. I only made one real friend, my friend Andrew, like I said. And even then, like, you know, he had other friends, and then everyone liked him. You know, they didn't bully him. And then, so I only had one real friend. And then, so like in my sophomore year, I had like reclused back into like just being on the internet all the time, watching Twitch stream and YouTubes again. So that's what I did when I was in private school, because I didn't have any friends. So I was like watching Twitch streamers, YouTubers, and I got back into like that mindset of like that's who I wanted to be, Twitch streamer, YouTuber, create a community and things like that. So in a way, he played a very instrumental role.
Through an opening at the North Pole. This is
by rejecting me and making sure no one fucking liked me and I had no friends, and every single female thought I was gay.
This is Admiral Richard Byrd. This is like straight up Nazi shit, dude. They're Hyperborea out there. Are you kidding me? This theory stems from Doctrine and Covenants 133:26-34, which describes the lost tribe.
Starting this cult, yeah. And here's the crazy thing is, bro. I wasn't even gay! Bro, I was so bullied in high school for being gay. I'm not. That's why it's LGBTQ plus C, because, man, I took that shit like a champ, bro. I never once was like, I ain't sucking no dick. I'm not gay. I'm not this. I was just like, so what if I suck dick? Why do you care? So what if I like dudes? And honestly, I remember like I would see that in like movies and shows, and like YouTubers and Twitter people would beef like that, and like it'd be like an own. But doing that in real life doesn't work, especially around a bunch of homophobic racist dudes, because then they actually are like, oh, he is gay, ew. And I was like, no, I'm not actually. I'm just saying, like, well, what if I was? And they're like, well, then we would hate you. I'm just like, oh, fuck. stealing their girls. Like, it honestly, I really did try to, like, puff out my chest and be like, yeah, so what if I am? What do you fucking care? And it really just, like, confirmed in everyone's minds that I was gay for some reason. So it backfired in real life. They were probably all ugly. They were all just a bunch of rednecks.
Returning from the North Countries and causing mountains to flow down and valleys to be exalted. And some members interpret North Countries literally as the North Pole. Others interpret the cosmic language as describing space travel. This is not official church doctrine, but it was taught by prominent early leaders and is still believed by many members. Brigham Young taught that the 10 tribes were on a portion of the earth that broke off, and Apostle James E. Talmage wrote about it.
I mean, shit sucked. The relationship. I mean, here's the crazy thing, and no offense, I wasn't really, like, trying to go after the girls. And you were DL. Dude, that literally happened to me. There's this one senior my sophomore year. His name was Donnie fucking Patton, bro. Holy fucking shit. And he was friends with Corey Britton, and he was like this old mega straight guy. And I remember he fucking messaged me on Instagram. He's like, and we played basketball together, and he was like, and we had talked at practice, and he was like, what's this, me hearing about you being gay or something? And I was like, nah, man, this is just rumors. And he was like, nah, it's okay if you tell me, bro. And I was like, what? He was like, nah, it's okay if you fool around. Like, I'd be down to fool around. I was like, bro, I'm not gay. And he's like, then why the fuck were you looking at me? And then he got mad at me. He's like, then don't fucking look at me. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what?
In the cultural DNA of Mormonism. The church doesn't...
I was like, you more gay than me, bro. Like, what is going on here?
Officially address this because it is batshit.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
And it's easier to let it remain as ambiguous folklore that sounds vaguely
yeah. He was like, you're not gonna suck my dick? Don't fucking look at me.
Ritual until you think about the implications of space Jews.
Oh my.
The hollow earth and all that stuff. Mormonism, pretty crazy. We know that churches have a lot of money. They don't have to pay taxes in the United States of America. Scientology is one of the largest landholders in the world. Mormonism, pretty up there as well. The City Creek Mall is a 1.5.
Call me a lesbian. Yeah, but that's terrible, Sammy. I'm sorry. Throw rocks. You don't want the rocks in it, like throw stuff. I mean, like pieces of paper and shit. Can't be straight.
$1 billion shopping center. And in 2012, the Latter-day Saints Church opened City Creek Center, a luxury shopping mall in downtown Salt Lake City that cost $1.5 billion, in which the church funded the entire project. The church claimed no tithing funds were used, only interest in Salt Lake City that opened City Creek Center, a luxury shopping mall in
I've been here.
Downtown Salt Lake City that cost $1.5 billion, in which the church funded the entire project. The church claimed no tithing funds were used, only interest from investments. But that investment fund was built
That's
with tithing.
crazy.
The distinction between tithing principle and interest earned from tithing is kind of dumb. It's pretty much a semantic thing. Like, if I had $1 million I earned, and then I invested it, and then I spent the $1 million that I earned, it's still...
Listen, the only revenge is moving on with your life, being successful and happy. Why they stay miserable. Listen, nobody's ever hated on me, has ever been better than me, or ever in a better place. I'll say that.
My money that I earned, right? Right? Because you're taking advantage. I mean, it's still tithings. It's member donations. It only exists because of the member donations. I don't really understand it, but context is very important. From 1985 to 2016, the church spent an average of $40 million annually on humanitarian aid, which is very impressive. And that's another thing that is true about the Catholic Church, in which, you know, the Vatican video that I made. There's a lot of charitable and humanitarian energy that comes from churches in general. But back to the Mormon time frame of 31 years, total humanitarian spending was roughly $1.2 billion. And then in 2012, they built a mall that was $1.5 billion. So their humanitarian aid, very impressive, $1.2 billion. That's a lot of money. But they built a mall for the same. I built a mall.
I think it's crazy that they spent $3 billion in 1 year on 2 projects. I mean, that's a humanitarian aid could have been over the whole year, but then the one project of building the mall, oh, like, that's kind of crazy. why they got $3 billion for? And they got church members struggling living paycheck to paycheck.
Do I help the sick?
Your government is bankrupt. Listen, that's not the government. That's a church. Our government is trillions of dollars bankrupt. 1.5 billion, that's nothing in our debt. Giving members rent money. I don't know if they consider that to humanitarian aid or not, but to get those types of things, you have to work for the church, though. It's not like you get it for free. There's like a undercover supervillain. I full on got that bitch back. No, that's not even the peak of what I did. Jesus. It dent the national debt.
No, I built them all. This was also on the heels of the 2008 housing crisis and recession that persisted during that time. Members were losing homes and jobs, and the church was spending.
Why the fuck is they getting the money from the church? From the congregation who pays tithes. And then I'm sure they own businesses, and then they own companies, and they probably sell different things now. And
$1.5 billion
invested in, like the Mormon Church. If you'll be a Mormon-owned business, and like the church gets to like it's a Mormon-owned business, and then blah blah blah, they'll help you open a business here in Utah too.
On the mall, and the church owns the land, the building, and collects rent from these epic luxury retailers tax-free. In 2011, whistleblower documents also revealed that the church used approximately $600 million from the same investment fund to bail out Beneficial Life Insurance Company, which is a church-owned for-profit business. So yeah, they just like making money a lot, it seems.
Smart.
And I feel like you should be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to have a church that's just... No wonder they stay in from the society benefits. You just get a bunch of money, seems like. Luckily, recent years have seen increased humanitarian spending. For example, $1.45 billion in 2024 alone, which is still a fraction of the $100+ billion investment portfolio that grows faster than they spend it, of course, in the Mormon coffers. Now,
they have $100 billion investment portfolio.
The very bottom of the rabbit hole, the real estate empire of the Church of Latter-day Saints. I feel like this is just so... I just can't understand how you can...
The triangle.
Like, if you're so... The
Trill.
church church shouldn't... I don't know.
What up,
Why does the IRS allow
681329?
this stuff? We get... And you just join a church. You start a church, and you're just cool, and you can become you can have a real estate empire.
Can we start a technical religion for tax purposes? With what we got going on here?
The Latter-day Saints Church is one of the largest private landowners in America. They hold 2% of Florida. Okay, that's crazy. They have another 1 million acres across the western United States and commercial real estate in nearly every major city, along with agricultural operations generating hundreds of millions of dollars.
I forgot about that. The Mormons own tons of agricultural stuff out here out west. By one C3 organization. Funnily enough, I'm not familiar with it, but I heard of that when talking to Project Kenna stuff.
Annually, much of this is held through shell companies and subsidiaries.
I don't know what
like
it meant, but
Ag Reserves
I actually remember that.
Tesseret Ranches, Property Reserve Inc. The average member of the Church of Latter-day Saints has no idea that their church operates a multi-billion-dollar real estate empire, and all of this is tax exempt as religious holdings.
I don't know if I could.
Agricultural and commercial operations generate massive revenue and are also
we would structure a Twitch stream. Will be for profit. Yes, I love it.
Exempt because they're church owned, and it comes down to the classic.
The Mormon Church is for profit. That's funny.
Argument: is this a religion
or
a real estate corporation?
Dude, my taxes are ridiculous. They're fucking ridiculous. I'm genuinely gonna be fucked on my taxes this year, and it's like the same time I'm moving. I had to pay $2,000 in taxes last year. Okay. Barely made above minimum wage. How does that make sense, chat? I don't know.
And with a religious division. All right, guys. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think.
Even with write-offs.
Hopefully I wasn't too harsh. It's very difficult for me to tread the line and try not to be funny, and try to be funny and entertaining, but also be truthful.
You doing them right. That's insane. None of my income is taxed. So when you guys TTS, when Twitch pays me, it's not taxed. So I get my money straight up when it comes to me, but it gets taxed in the year. Because technically I'm self-employed. So when I file my taxes, I file under self-employment. And even with all my write-offs, and I have someone who does my tax, you got no withholding, yeah. So that's why my taxes are so high. And I'm a single white male. I have a college degree and no debt other than my car. So yeah, I don't get any breaks. And the crazy thing is, when I was talking to my tax expert, and they were asking me blah blah blah, and they were asking me if I had enough anything in my ethnicity to be considered not white? And I said, no. And he goes, oh, that's too bad. And I was like, what? He was like, oh, because you'll pay less taxes. And I was like, oh, no. Look for grants for streamers, King. I was like, that'd be awesome.
And non-biased.
So it is true. You're too white boy.
And objective.
I mean, I can't claim anything, bro. Like, I'm sure if I even like try to claim the 1%, I'm sure that's mixed in me somewhere 0.%. Like, that would be tax fraud, no? Does being Jewish not count? Bro, I'm Jewish by religion, not heritage. If I'm doing Jewish by heritage, I'm only at 25% Jewish. Who's the tax professional? I need his work. What do you mean? Oh, the guy does my taxes? Oh, I see, yeah.
As objective as I can, and also treat serious things with, you know, a level of actual seriousness that they deserve.
Still a fourth. So I'm sure you fill out your taxes. You know when you fill it out, it's like Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Pacific Islander, white. Do you ever see one that says Jewish? Just a question. Do you ever see the box that says Jew? It says if I put that down, they'd probably charge me more. Let's be real in this country. You know, if your guy was asking. You're probably like, you people got enough money, bro. You're like, who people? Because they're not sharing it with me.
I'm not sure. This video probably make people mad, but I don't really care that much. I just hope that it was in some way insightful, entertaining, and you learned something. I have no idea. Anyways, go to the Gump Club, gump.club, to watch behind-the-scenes footage, some epic behind-the-scenes stuff that you will not see on the main channel. Subscribe to one of my other channels where we're filming a little mockumentary about making a video game, in which we are actually making a video game. The mockumentary is for fun, but the video game is real. And also go to sour.gg to buy some candy. We have a...
Like, even with my taxes, with my tax expert, I went through the process of writing up the mileages for all the long travels I took, the hotels, my DJ board, meals, trips, flights. I wrote it all off my taxes. We were writing off everything we legally could for my taxes with my job, and I still paid like $2,100. Of course, thankfully, it was a payment plan, so I wasn't like $2,100, give it to me right now, because then I would have been fucked. And I was paying, I think, 80 something a month. So, and then I don't remember what it was, but I remember one night, and this was when I first started the wheel. We had a huge night when I first introduced it. It was like one of the ones where it just went crazy for like an hour. You guys remember when I first got the wheel, like we'd been spinning that bitch for like a whole hour, bro. And I literally paid off all my back taxes. I was like, bro, I gotta get the IRS to stop breathing down my fucking neck, bro. I gotta get this interest out of here, and then I paid off my credit cards. So it does feel nice to finally not have all these small little debts, like $1,000 this credit card, 2,000 here, blah blah blah. So, because as of right now, I only in first of my life, I only owe my car. I don't owe money to anywhere else.
Candy company that is
so. Always get money back. Well, like I said, my money's not taxed. So when you get paid, you work. Your hospitals, is it owned by the government? Is it private owned? It's owned by the government. You're gonna get some back because it's a government job. But they take taxes out of each of your paychecks.
Is not tax exempt because we are not a religious organization, but we're thinking about it. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody who watches these videos and enjoys. I'll see you in the next one. Don't I look healthy?
I paid because